Well, what's up, fam? Welcome to Birds of a Feather, live on A2DRadio.com, live from the Real Talk Studios. Birds of a Feather is brought to you by Gibson Mayer, LLC, our certified public accountants, make them yours, GibsonMayer.com. Also by Specialized Physical Therapy. You can find them in Burlington, Cherry Hill, Princeton, New Jersey. Find them on the web, SpecializedPhysicalTherapy.com. Scanzano Sports Poll question this week. Pretty simple, all things considered. Is this season a success? This follow-up season off of a Super Bowl, is it a success for the Philadelphia Eagles? Clearly, the ride is over for this year, guys. Chrome, Chucks, Brian Brodorf on the ones and twos. We're ready to talk, fam, over on YouTube, Periscope, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Lots to talk about, lots to recap. Disappointment, but I'm not mad. That would be the way I would sum up my feelings, my emotions coming off of this game. Disappointment, not mad. I'll be the first one. I'll dive right in. To me, this is a successful season. When you kind of look at start to finish where everything kind of evolved to, you think about how many weeks ago were we talking about we're going to be one of those few Super Bowl teams that doesn't even reach the playoffs the following year. And then you turn around and, we got a little bit of magic towards the end there. We managed to get in. We got a little bit of help to get in. We beat a very, very tough Chicago Bears team at home in Chicago. And listen, we played the Saints tough this week. We gave them everything that we could have asked for them to give, and then some. So, for me, it's absolutely a success. I think we kind of touched on it a few weeks ago, too, where what defines a success for us? For me, it was really making the playoffs. But then as we kind of got there, I felt like a win could really solidify it. And we got that. We got a very exciting win. And, again, coming out against the Saints this week. And I think last week when I was sick and I called in the second half, I had said, I didn't want to give a prediction because I didn't know. I figured we could play them tough. I knew this wasn't going to be Week 11 all over again. Mm. Different team, different energy, different momentum. The Saints, although still playing very well, not at the level. I mean, they were at peak point when you talk about where they were at Week 11. I felt like we had a chance to go in there and possibly steal it. And unfortunately, we got the hot start. Things did not pan out that way, and we'll break down the game. But for me, I would absolutely look at this as a successful season. And not just that, and I know we're going to talk about, what we're facing in the offseason in regards to needs, in regards to, a long list of free agents that we're going to have.
Oh, yeah.
Who do you bring back? Who do you not? Who can be a cap casualty? We'll dive into that. But I still feel like we're in a good place moving forward. I really feel really good about this organization and its commitment to continue to win and succeed. And I think that we're going to see more of that this offseason. So, yes, for me, it is a successful season.
I'm going to say, well, first of all, I share in your sentiments. It's weird because after the game ended, like it's a similar feeling of like, oh, the season's over. Like you're upset. Like it's sad, and it's you have to realize that, okay, now you got to go through the whole offseason, and that's a long, arduous time, for us football fans. The NFL offseason is a long offseason. So, yeah, you're sad and you're upset, but I'm not disappointed to the fact that, like, I'm not disappointed in the team. I'm not ashamed, because years prior, it's like sometimes they lose and you're just like, wow, really, that's how it ends? And you're disappointed in the team, you're disappointed in the effort they give here and there. But this season, no, like the Saints were the better team, and they made more plays, and they outplayed us when it came down to it. And the team fought a lot harder than it did Week 11, just like you said, and it came down to the wire. And I'm not ever going to look back at this season and be like, nah, this was a waste. No, I look back and I'm saying, yeah, even though we didn't get a Super Bowl, I'd consider it a success because what they showed me and why I think it's a success is to show that the culture that Doug Peterson has established is here to stay.
Yeah.
Like he's established a culture of family. Like that Jenkins leads that locker room break. He says, "Family on three." And that's exactly what they are. They're family. He preaches that. He sets that culture in that locker room. And guys might be leaving, and we're gonna get into that in a little bit. Talk about the potential offseason moves. But even with the guys leaving, there's still a core here that will help carry that family culture. And you have guys who will never ever stop fighting. And they showed us that 2017 wasn't a fluke. It is in a way the new norm that Doug talked about, that they are going to keep fighting and keep playing, and when everyone counts them out, that's when they play their best. And when their back's against the wall, that's when they play best. And you can't ask more out of a team from Philadelphia than have that kind of mindset. So I'm proud of this team. This year wasn't the year, but injuries, they happen, and they were just too much to overcome at some point. So I'm proud of them, and I would definitely say it was a success.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, it's tough to repeat in the NFL, and
Yes.
and you know what? It's kind of what makes what New England has been able to do for years that much more impressive.
Yeah.
It is a very difficult feat to be able to repeat in the NFL. But again, kind of touching on what you said there, I mean, you talked about the injuries, and again, I mean, listen, we had injuries last year, but I felt like this year was just a thrashing compared to last year. But by no means, I'm not, aside from where I really feel like it affected, and we've talked about this in the running game, I feel like it most affected us. It's a lot of times it's not always how you start; it's how you kind of evolve and finish as the season goes that kind of can define a season, define a team. And listen, we clawed, we struggled, we talked about it, we've beat the dead horse, we've blown 17-point leads in games this season. But then I kind of go around and are there disappointments that happened this year? Of course. But then you look at some of the surprises and things you didn't see coming. The emergence of an Avonte Maddox is a huge encouraging sign going forward. You look at Russell Douglas and his play, and he struggled a lot early in the season, but when everybody went down and you needed him to step up, he came in. He was that physical corner. I got to say, and I think I mentioned it last week, this is the best stretch of tackling from an Eagles defensive secondary I have seen in a decade.
Oh yeah.
Since Sheldon Brown and Lito Shepherd were back there with Brian Dawkins and
Michael Lewis.
Yeah. I mean, it was impressive to see the fight for this year and to know that these guys know that, it's not just about this year. These guys now, they're on the radar. They have a chance to win a job going into next year.
Yeah.
And, when you have guys like Ronald Darby and question marks, along the defensive side and some, looks like we're going to have a lot of question marks on the offensive line, you have something to win. You have something to compete for. And I was really impressed with some of the guys that stepped up. I mean, we were talking in week 11, you were starting Bosby out there.
Oh, God.
You know what I mean? And now, you turn around
and Sullivan.
LeBlanc was a very, very pleasant surprise as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know these guys are going to be able to kind of maintain that level going into next year, but they have earned the right to compete for a job next year and be a part of that defense. So, and I think, taking other things away. We talked about Jim Schwartz and his stubbornness. And it seemed like it finally clicked in that, okay, simplify the defense, understand the personnel that you have, because how many times do we talk about it? You talked about it all the time. He had that Chip Kelly stubbornness of, I'm going to play my system and I can put anybody in there.
Yeah, I know. And it drove us nuts.
Yeah. And for whatever reason, the last 4 or 5 weeks of the season and kind of going into the playoffs, that changed. It had to change because, you know what I mean? But he could have very easily just continued to do the same things he was doing on defense. And maybe that when Malcolm Jenkins in his ear, at that one point in the season where he said, listen, dude, you got to simplify it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that was a turning point for the defense. Maybe that's something that you got to give a little bit of credit to Malcolm Jenkins and give credit to Jim Schwartz to listen to his players, listen to his leaders on the field and say, all right, this is what we got to do. let's roll out and see how we do. And then it kind of took off. So, no, I'm very happy with this season. I'm not as happy as I would like to be, but you know, I'm not upset. I'm not mad about anything. Just disappointment that the ride is over. It was exciting. It was a lot of fun, especially coming off of that high of the Chicago game.
I know.
So, yeah, that's where I feel about
that. I hear you, and I think that when it comes to all the players that's shown out, I think it's amazing. It's great to see because with all these veterans leaving, all these question marks, you needed young guys to step up.
Yeah.
The cornerback position going into next season is going to be very interesting.
Yes.
But in a good way because we have depth and we have options. So if you're talking about 3 starting cornerback spots, and I say 3 starting because I consider the nickel corner spot a starting spot. When you talk about 3 starting corner spots, and you have how many? Maybe like 5 or 6 already that are in contention for one of those spots.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome to have because now you have options, you have depth, you have competition, which will bring out the best in that group, and you have diversity. You have versatility to be able to potentially move pieces around, see what works best. So that's very exciting. I mean, I've been for the past few weeks. I've been one of the biggest supporters of Avonte Maddox and his potential.
Mm-hmm.
Like what I've seen from him, I think is the most exciting out of all the people that have stepped up over the past few weeks.
Sure. I
love how this kid plays, and I don't care that he's 5'9". I don't care. When you're that good in coverage, you deserve a spot. You deserve a spot. And I don't care if he's one of those that moves around from outside to slot, like constantly during a game for certain matchups. I don't care where he plays. He just needs to be on the field. Because the kid's a baller. He makes plays. He's intelligent. He's physical. He has the whole package. The only thing he doesn't have is height, but he's athletic. He has ups. Like that one pass breakup to I forget, was it the tight end that it was deep. He went up and he showed Matt
made
ups
a great play on the
to
ball,
make a great play on the ball. So I'm very excited for Maddox and a lot of the other young guys. So it's in a way a silver lining to be able to with all these guys that went down to have all these guys step up is great to see.
Over on the Facebook, Tom Arnone joins us. Says, "What's up, boys? Definitely success." Frank Vespi says, "Hey, yo. Sorry to bother you at work. Welcome back, Rome. Good to be back. To look back, although the season ended in disappointment, the season was a success. It was tough to repeat. Rams and Saints were the teams to beat in the NFC this season. I'm glad I don't have to hear that stupid quarterback debates and a domino effect of injuries."
Oh, you're gonna still be hearing.
Oh yeah, but I'm with you, Frank. Greg Malakovic, he says, yes, it was a success, and this is coming from a guy who wanted them to lose every game after the Cowboys and Saints raped us earlier in the year. James Wilder, our resident Canadian, says, 100% a successful season. I needed them to beat the Bears to be able to say that. No shame in being one of the final 8 teams in the most brutal sports league around.
Yep.
Yeah, man. Yeah, no, I mean, listen, I think it's going to be really interesting when you bring up Avonte Maddox, and I know we're going to dive into it, of who stays and who goes, because he could make certain guys expendable.
Yeah.
One of the names we had floated out there was Rodney McLeod.
Mm-hmm.
Could be a guy who could be expendable at this point because you're talking about a monster cap, and I mean, let's be realistic. We're in the worst cap position of the league right now.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Somebody said to me earlier, and I totally agree. If you tell me you get a Super Bowl, but you're going to be in cap hell 2 years later, I'll take that all day, every day.
You take it.
Take it all day, every day.
Howie will work his magic. He'll figure it out.
Yeah, he'll figure it out. He'll work it out. But you're hearing the rumors of is Kelsey possibly retiring. Could be a guy stepping out. We obviously aren't going to have Brandon Brooks next year, or at least for the majority of the year, because of his injury. Who else? Jason Peters.
He's probably going to retire.
Probably going to. I would hope he's going to retire, but we'll see. Is Bradham a guy? Is that a cap casualty? I mean, I don't know what his hit would be, but
I don't know what his contract situation is. I mean, They signed him.
They
I think
extended him.
they extended him for. I think it was more than a year.
Yeah, it was.
And
It
I don't
was
think it
multi-year.
was. Yeah, I don't think it was anything significant. So I'd say he still returns. But I mean, his running mate Jordan Hicks, it's a big question mark. So, I just think it's
and
just
then
a
you
lot
hear,
of question marks.
well, then you hear other guys talking. Brandon Graham kind of cryptically put out there, and I know you could say, "Hey, it's lip service," but he doesn't need to do that. That he would entertain the idea of taking a little less money to stay if they can make it work.
Yeah.
You,
He did. Yeah, he did say that. I mean, we'll see. I
Right.
think I've heard. I didn't look at the projected free agent list for edge guys and defensive ends. But from what I've heard is that it's supposed to be very saturated. So there's supposed to be a lot of options for guys, and in a saturated market, the price goes down.
Yeah.
So if his price isn't as high as he wants it to be, and that price mark is closer to what the Eagles are willing to offer him, that gives a higher chance of him getting re-signed. So we'll see.
Yeah, and I mean you're seeing things 4 or 5 years for $75 million for Golden Tate is what the expected market is, but Golden Tate, another guy who really has no reason to come out and say anything, said very poignantly, his last deal when he left Seattle and went to Detroit, that was his big money deal. That was his time that he signed for money.
Mm-hmm.
He's more prone now, if he likes the situation, to sign for less money to have a chance to win.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's a lot of guys. I think Nelson's gone. I
don't think he is.
I would be okay with it if he's gone. I just don't.
I'd be okay with you trading him, but to release it doesn't. Like I've been saying, it doesn't make sense for them.
Well,
to cut
they might move him. I'm just saying gone. I'm not saying how he's going to be gone.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know that Nelson's going to be on this team next year. And again, I'd be okay with that because I think he's reached the potential that I feel like we're going to get out of him. I don't think he's going to get much higher. His ceiling is much higher than where he's at right now, which is good. It's a good player. He's a good role player on another team or our team. But I think that you could utilize.
You could
that
upgrade
more.
him. I think that part of it is now. Like I've changed my stance from the beginning of the season. I wouldn't mind trading him. Like he's not an he's an expendable player by all means. Like if someone offers like a second or a third round pick for him, I'm taking it. So that's completely fine. I think that part of it though is I think the Eagles have to figure out how they want to use him exactly. I think, especially since the Golden Tate trade, they don't know how they want to view him as a player. I've been saying since the Golden Tate trade, he's your deep threat now. He's capable of being a deep threat, and so you use him as a deep threat. And there are times where they definitely stretch the field with him, but they don't use him in that capacity as much as they should. So going into next season, I think it's on the coaches and the front office to be like, okay, if we're going to keep Nelson, he's a good player. Are we going to use him? How are we going to use him? What's our plan for him? So as long as you define his role and you give him that consistent role, I think he can absolutely contribute and be a great playmaker for the offense, and I think that's a big part of how his situation is going to play out. Like I said, by all means, trade him. But if you don't find a trade market, if no teams are willing to offer enough for him, if you do indeed put him on the trade block, like they're not going to cut him. They're absolutely not going to cut him. He's too big. That team option that they exercise is too big of a cap hit and dead money to be able to just release him.
Couple more on Facebook. Daryl Miller says, after all those injuries and we make the playoffs, great season. We're still Super Bowl champs for a few more weeks. Damn right, brother. Bill Middlebrook says, I don't get how the Patriots always keep their players or replace them with vets and don't have cap problems. Do we pay too much for players?
You know what the Patriots do? They don't keep their vet players.
No, they don't.
They release their vet players a year before their prime is done. That's the genius of Bill Belichick. He knows when a player is done, and he releases them before anyone else figures that they're done. And then when that player goes off to the next team and doesn't do well, everyone's like in shock that they're not doing well. Well, Bill just knows. He's that smart. So that's part of the business. That's why he let guys like Deion Branch go. Jamie Collins, he traded away to the Browns for practically nothing. Like the list goes on and on of guys over their whole dynasty that you would think, oh, they're a core piece. The next second, they're gone.
Rosca says, "What's up, boys? Rams defense, Goff, Gurley, C.J. Anderson, Talib will be ready to come out to have a great start. They're going to need a great start. My prediction is Saints and Chiefs Super Bowl.
I could see that,
but
I'm rooting for the Rams.
We'll see.
I think the Rams have a good chance.
Bill Middlebrook says, SB Nation said today that the Eagles are interested in AP because of the money and being cheap. What do you think? I say he's too old.
No, thank you.
I'll pass on him.
No, thank you. Hard pass.
No, I look at them. I think you're more likely if they're going to bring somebody back, and I don't even think it's going to be Sproles if he wants to play. I think that I'm sticking to my guns. I think it's Ajayi on like a cheap 1 year, $2 million deal, or $1 million with incentives.
I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't mind it. I don't know how realistic that is.
Yeah.
I would not mind it though.
And I think that they will draft a running back.
I hope so.
So, and I think that I would imagine possibly fairly high, maybe second round.
I wouldn't mind. I don't know yet because I don't know. I've only studied like 4 guys in the draft in terms of running backs. But I'm still, even though he tore his ACL, I'm still enamored with Bryce Love. With his injury, he could fall to day 3. Well, he is probably going to fall to around the day 3 range, so round 4 and on. But I still would, as Tom said, I would not mind at all if he still drafted Bryce Love in the 3rd round. You're talking about someone who I think whose ceiling is even higher than a Christian McCaffrey. Like to me, he's a better runner, but not as good as a receiver. But he's that dynamic of a playmaker. Someone like McCaffrey, you're going to get him in the 3rd, 4th round. I'm all for it. But they're going to have to draft someone. Either 2nd, 3rd, or 4th round. They have to draft someone in those rounds.
Tom says, damn, we let that game slip away. Bill says, he said that Ajayi, I guess SB Nation said that they think Ajayi is going to the Skins. Maybe. I mean, do they want to have an injury-plagued running back while they have a young injury-plagued running back?
They have another guy. They have another guy.
I mean, you talk about a lot of question marks when you're talking about your running game. That's a high risk for them. Parker says, I give Ajayi another shot, and I like the idea of Foles for Fournette.
It wouldn't.
I don't think it's realistic.
I don't think it's realistic, but I will say this because I know someone had brought that up in the group page. There were those rumors because they took away Fournette's guarantees. Something had happened on the sideline of the last game. They took away all his guarantees, and there were rumors of them planning to release him. So if I'm saying if.
But from what I had read was that they smoothed all that over, though.
Okay. All right. If that's the case, then they're not going to do it.
They did not reinstate his guarantees.
But they were.
But him and Coughlin, they all had to sit down after the season ended, and apparently things are smoothed over. I don't realistically see them moving him.
Okay. If that's the case, they're not going to.
Yeah. So no, but I could see. I mean, honestly, I don't think Foles goes there. I'm looking at either Miami or Denver could be a landing spot for Foles.
We talked about it last week. Tampa Bay. I
don't think Tampa Bay. The more I read, I think that they're in on Winston. I think Bruce Arians knew going in that Winston was going to be the guy, and I feel like he thinks he's going to get the best out of Jameis Winston. All right. So, whether we agree with that or not,
that's the plan. That's the plan.
That's not here nor there, but they're rolling with Jameis Winston going forward. So I'm taking Tampa Bay out of that mix. I mean, the Jags could be a team if you're looking at potential trade partners. If the Eagles, I think the Eagles do franchise tag Nick Foles with the intention to trade him. They'll get something for him. When you look at really what the free agent market is and the quarterback class that's coming out, Foles is probably the best quarterback on the market. Without question.
Him and then Tannehill.
Right. So, Foles and then Tannehill. I mean, and I like Tannehill, but you talk about a guy with injury issues who can never stay healthy, and unfortunately, I don't think he's ever going to reach his potential because of that. He's creeping up in that Sam Bradford class of guys with all the potential in the world and not being able to stay healthy. But I'm looking at Miami as a really good landing spot for him, and I think that I think I could see Denver. I could see John Elway pulling the trigger and bringing
Instead
him
of
in.
Case Keenum. Over with the Case Keenum experiment already.
What a bomb that was.
Yeah. Let me hit some YouTube comments.
Yeah,
We got some.
let's get to the tube.
Todd Romick says, "Tell you the truth, fellas, I'm not mad because I know Wentz already rented out the cabins in North Dakota. LOL." Corey DiBiase says the year was a success. Womack says, "I call it successful. Can we sign Hunt yet? LOL. Too soon, buddy. I'm very optimistic about our future." Alexander Verrucci says, "What's up, fam? I said during the game our cornerback depth next season is going to be crazy, and Maddox and LeBlanc should get a chance to compete for a spot. Now if we can get Hunt, boy, we could do some shit in the draft. Guys, we're not getting Hunt, all right? Nelson needs to say I think he's someone who will steadily get better. I think he could be used better now. Has been catching balls, deep balls. We can get him on a good contract. Let's let Tate go." He says, "Yeah, he can stretch the field now." And then Corey DiBiase does say, "Keep Aguilar." Harlem Cowboy says, "What's up, guys? Damn, at least my boys are the youngest team in the league." And Jaleel Harris says, "What's up, boys? We need wide receiver, O-line, running back, linebacker, and safety depth. So much work to be done, and defensive line."
Yeah. Over on the Facebook, we got Tom saying, "Yes, sir, Chucks." I don't know what he said earlier, but he said, "I give Darby a 1-year deal. Brandon Graham on a team-friendly deal. Got to open up the money for it, though. And, yes, we have to draft a running back. It's time to nail one. It's been too long." I agree with that. We haven't nailed a running back in the draft. And, well, we had Shady. But
Shady, and that might have been the last one.
Tom Arnone also says, he said, "I would take Hunt when he comes off the exempt list." I don't want Kareem Hunt. I think if Kareem Hunt is back in the league next year, it's with the Bears. Because of the personal – right.
Yeah.
They Nagy checked in on him. There was a personal relationship there and a tie with those guys. But if you notice, immediately as soon as that came out, ownership came out and said, "Yeah, we're not in on Kareem Hunt." So they kind of shot that down right away.
Gotcha.
But I think, I mean, if you're looking at a landing spot for a team that could bring him in, that could have a use for him, and be willing to roll the dice and put him in a situation character-wise that he could work with somebody, it would probably be with Nagy in Chicago, and I don't think that's happened. I don't think Kareem Hunt's back in the league next year. I think 2020 he starts getting looks
That's
again.
My point. I agree with you.
I think all this needs to clear up.
Yeah, I think 2020 is. I don't think he'll be in the league next year. To me, if you're gonna ask me, and yeah, there might be some bias here, the other way, not what you think, but it's still too soon. To me, it's still way too soon to be able to say that he's going to be in the league next year. I would be surprised, honestly, if a team picks him up this soon. Can my opinion change? Can my opinion change months from now? Absolutely. Maybe months from now we hear some stuff about what he's been doing and trying to repair his image and trying to make up and make amends. That absolutely could change my mind. But until then, right now, I'm going to say no, he doesn't play next year, and we don't pick him up. I'm not interested, and that's my stance. I think it's all this Kareem Hunt talk is still way too soon.
No, and I'm not going to get into the deep conversations we had about.
Oh yeah,
before.
yeah. No.
Just simply put, for me, some of this has to clear up. I'm not gonna immediately strike guilt on the guy. I'm a little more open-minded as things go, but there has to be concern that there's other reports of incidents before this and after this happened.
Yeah.
And for that, I think a lot of teams are going to sit back and they're going to let it play out. And when you talk about a situation like this, sometimes it takes more than 5 months for it to play out. It could take 12 months.
It could take a while.
16 months for this to play out. He's a young enough guy that if he ends up sitting out next year,
he'll still be fine.
And everything's cleared up, and he whatever he does to have to
keep
make
himself
amends,
in shape.
He could come right back in and be elite, in 2020. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah.
I don't see him back in the league next year. If I do, I have one team, and it's the Bears. It's the only team to me that would.
I will say this though. I will say this
in the midst of all this.
Yeah, I will say this though, and I think
Dallas.
Tom commented on it. If he were to come here, I absolutely believe we have the right locker room and leadership on the team to keep him straight. I absolutely believe that. So it's not that he wouldn't be a cultural fit. We help amended and put Michael Vick on the right track.
Sure.
Why can't we do it with Kareem Hunt? That's not the question. I just think there's still too much up in the air about him and what he did that there's still time that needs to go on for stuff to clear.
Yeah. And I think the two with the difference with the Michael Vick incident issue was that he had already served his
spent time in jail.
So you speak. He served jail time. He had committed and followed through on doing things in the community to kind of change the narrative a little bit.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit different. And maybe 3 months from now it'll be cleared up and we'll have a different conversation and we will talk about, hey, let's bring him in. But I just think where it's at now, I'm gonna wait and see. I got to see how this is gonna play out because I just think it's still. The water's too hot right now.
Yeah.
It's boiling too much still to dive right into.
Completely agree.
But Tom said we haven't landed one in a long time. You said shady 10+ years ago. Totally right.
Yeah, I know.
Bill Middlebrook says agree, no Hunt. You mentioned Tom's locker room comment, which I agree with that too. He says, you know how I felt about it, and I'm saying this because I know my opinion will change. Oh, well, like I said, we have to nail one in the draft. Agree with that. Bill Middlebrook says, Larry Fitzgerald tweeted he's ready to fly from one nest to the other. Another old guy. I'd still
Wait, who did he say?
Larry Fitzgerald. I'd take Larry
He's not going to retire?
I'd take him.
I would take him.
I would take Larry
The guy
Fitzgerald
can still play.
as he
I'm
is
just
now.
saying.
Yep.
I'm just saying. I thought he'd retire. So,
Nah, I'd take him in a heartbeat.
I would too.
But yeah, I mean, kind of rounding it back in. If we're signing a free agent running back, it's going to be either one of our two guys. It's going to be Sproles if he comes back, or it's going to be a Jai. I think the focus when they're talking about a difference maker in the running game is going to be who they target in the draft. I think for me, I'm going offensive line to start. Personally, I think that there's going to be so many holes now. And we were talking about that before because I looked at just having Jason Peters replace. Now, I mean, if there's any room, if there's any, now you got Brandon Brooks is down. You talk about if Jason Kelsey retires, I mean, your whole line is essentially depleted at that point.
Yeah.
You're going to need to go out and get a game-changing lineman, whether it's a tackle or
need
somebody on the inside.
Man.
You're going to need to do something because you got to protect Carson. That's got to be priority number one. And I think that's where they'll target first. Somebody's saying Bell. Bill's saying Bell. Nope, he said he wants another year. Talking about Larry Fitz. So.
That's crazy. I think I'm the one guy, Bleeding Green Nation, and I posted this on the group page, put out a short article about with the unrestricted free agent running backs. I think they're missing some people in here, but I'm just going down the list and you guys say like if any name jumps out at you, but we have Latavius Murray, Marshawn Lynch, Mark Ingram, Bilal Powell.
I mean, I like Ingram, but
he's going to be 30.
He's going to, yeah, but I'm not. Yeah, but I think if we're drafting, I'd be okay with bringing a veteran running back in. I'd be okay with that.
He's not going to leave New Orleans. He's already expressed interest that he wants to stay, and he has the suspension issues, by the way.
True. Yeah, good point.
I think he's going to cost. Even if you do woo him away from New Orleans, you're going to need to pay him.
Yeah. Corey Grant, LeGarrette Blount, Spencer Ware.
Nope.
What? Oh, okay. Jaquez Rogers, T.J. Yeldon, Doug Martin, Mike Davis, Fozzie Whitaker, Frank Gore, Benny Cunningham, Zach Zenner, Amir Abdullah, Adrian Peterson.
I think Frank Gore goes back to Miami.
You think so? Alfred Blue, Tywan Jones, Brandon Bolden, Alfred Morris, Stephen Ridley, Kenyon Barner, Tavares Cadet, Charkandrick West, C.J. Anderson, who is still playing.
C.J. Anderson, I could see him taking a look at.
Ty Montgomery, Raheem Mostert, Devorius Allen, Rod Smith, Cameron Artis-Payne, of course, Le'Veon Bell, and the one guy on this list that I am still targeting, the only guy I have any interest in, Tevin Coleman. Tevin Coleman. He's the one guy in all free agency going down that list that I have any interest in. If it's not Tevin Coleman, give me a draft guy.
You can get him for cheap as well because he did not have a good season at all.
800 yards only.
Get him real cheap.
Yeah.
Real cheap.
Yeah, real cheap. But I know he's capable of better.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I know he's absolutely capable of better because I've seen it. So, But I mean, you have Kelsey was non-committal. Like he was, that question was asked I think today, and he was non-committal of whether those rumors were true or not. So who knows? Peters is going to retire. I mean, you need to start, and I don't want to. I'm not doubting the guy, but I don't want to hear people say, "Oh, it's okay. We have Jordan Mailata." You don't know how ready Jordan Mailata is. Okay, he could be a stud, but who knows if that's going to be next year or the year after or the year after.
How dare you smite the name of the goat, the goat Mailata?
But sorry, he's still a project.
Yeah, you better apologize for that.
He's still a project. I didn't apologize. He's still a project. He's no guaranteed thing. So offensive line is absolutely need. Hell, going into the draft, I'd say offensive tackle is the top need for the Eagles.
So I think you kind of answered it for yourself, but Bill does ask, what's your guys' prediction on who they get for a back? And he's talking if we go the unrestricted free agent route. He likes C.J. Anderson. I think C.J. Anderson is a guy they could take a look at. I like Campbell as well.
Coleman.
Yeah. I always say Tevin Campbell, like the fucking R&B artist. I don't know why. Tevin Coleman. Who do you got, Ryan?
I mean, I'm a Tevin Coleman guy. I would really like that, but realistically, what I think they probably do is they keep Jay on a 1-year prove-it deal.
Yeah.
Because he's only, 25, 26? So it's not like you're keeping
I think 26.
And we have to remember, too, like for the couple games that he played, it's not like he played bad. I mean, he got into the end zone a lot.
You know, I didn't play bad.
I think a lot of
he got hurt week 2.
When he was on the field,
he was hurt week
played
2
very well.
So, I think over the last handful of weeks, and clearly, like when you're hurt, obviously your stock's going to go down. But I think a lot of people think like, oh, Jay Ajayi stinks. It's like, no. Like, because everyone, when you say like, oh, keep Jay Ajayi, they're like, like they don't like it.
No,
Obviously, injuries, you know, that's a big thing. But when he's on the field, he's productive. So
he's tough as crap too. He played on a torn ACL
and a broken freaking
and
back.
a broken back.
So I think honestly, what they're going to do is keep Jay, draft somebody, and then I think they're going to try and develop Adams, and then don't be shocked if Kenyon Barner's back. I know that's not the attractive pick, but they like system guys in their back of their rotation, and you have Sproles. You have that option. So I think it's going to be a lot of the same, just with somebody they pick in the second or third round.
So if they do something like that, where Jay is back on a 1-year deal.
Oh, they have Corey.
So and they have, so you have Jay as your feature back.
Yeah.
Or your lead back. Sorry. Lead back, and then you have guys like Corey who will be coming back.
Yep.
You have, is Smallwood a free agent?
I believe so.
Okay.
I believe so.
So you have him, and you have Clement, and you have Josh Adams, and then if you draft Bryce Love.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
You have him be like this is his red shirt year.
Your project.
Your project. He's probably, you have him sit, just train him. Get him healed up. I would have absolutely no problem with that.
Bill thinks they're going to bring in a new guy that Jay won't be back, and he says, "What do you think about Latavius Murray?"
No, that's a solid name that people have been throwing out. I have no interest. I don't like his running style. I've never been a huge fan. He's a solid guy, but he doesn't interest me.
Now, you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do back what we were talking about week 2. I'm fine with bringing on Marshawn for a year because I like running backs that do different. Of course I am. I'm going to be on the Marshawn thing until he retires.
My thing is, if you're talking Marshawn, I'd almost rather go LeGarrette Blount. I mean, it's not that different of a style, and you talk about a guy who's familiar with the system.
LeGarrette Blount, I'm done with LeGarrette Blount. And I respect what he did, but he averaged barely 4 yards a touch. In Detroit, he has a lot of wear on the tires. It does matter. He played. It's not like he didn't have a lot of snaps. He has a lot of war.
Yeah, you can't say that it was like the line or the team because what's the rookie name? What's his name?
God.
Come on.
Damn it.
Come on. Why can't I? The rookie running back they had
it's like their first
tore it up.
Running back in years.
Why can't I?
I'll figure it out.
Yeah. He tore it up. So it's not like you can blame the team around Blount. No, Blount was just worn down. He's done.
Carryon Johnson.
Yeah,
thank you.
Right.
He tore it up.
Maybe I'm like the only guy. I kind of like Alfred Morris. I feel like everywhere Alfred Morris goes, he's a productive back.
No, he's still
productive. And when you talk about last season, if you look at the numbers, he was more than competent. When Zeke was out of the lineup, he played very, very well as their featured number one back.
Yeah.
Cheap year or two, I wouldn't mind him.
Alfred Morris is the thing is he can't be your lead back for one. And I'm not saying you are. I'm just diagnosing him as a player. He can't be your lead back anymore because look what happened like even in San Francisco this year. He had the starting job but he's not able to keep it.
I don't know that we go lead back next year.
No.
I totally think it's a rotation.
He is someone he's not how am I going to put this? He's not a guy if you want to get someone who can be your home run hitter or can make big runs, he's not that guy. He's going to get you a consistent 3.5 yards per run, and he's going to be a guy who will be consistent in that regard on limited touches. So if that's what you're looking for as a complementary piece, I wouldn't mind Alfred Morris. Like he's not terrible at this point in his career, but if you're looking like if we don't sign Jay Ajayi, and you have Alfred Morris come in and he's your best back out of Clement and Adams, I would not be happy with that. You need someone better than Alfred Morris.
So I checked. Wendell is actually under contract for 2019.
So he'll be back.
But here's the thing, though. You can cut him. I mean, you can. It's not like you're cutting.
Yeah,
There's a ton of dead cap. There's like $20,000 on the dead cap. You know what I mean? It's not anything.
Yeah.
So that's the problem with the running back core. We have a lot of stuff right now.
Yeah.
Like we have like 5-6 guys, but we really don't know. Like every single person is a question mark.
Yeah.
Like, is Corey going to come back and number one, stay healthy, B, improve? If Jay Ajayi's back, is he going to be more sustainable? Is Darren Sproles even going to continue playing?
Yeah.
Is Josh Adams going to be able to even get on the field? Because as we saw, I don't think they trust him anymore. Or at least
After
for the time
fumble,
being. They don't trust him because they had Boston Scott on the field 2 times
over
more
Josh Adams
than Josh Adams in the first playoff
Absolutely.
game, and then he wasn't even cited.
We forgot about Boston Scott too.
Oh no, I mean, let's not do that.
I know. I know.
Let's not do that.
I said that as a joke.
Okay, I'm gonna say it again. Don't do that.
Darren King says Mark Ingram on a 1-year deal. I'd love it, but I think he's going to get more than 1 year.
Who was that? Wait, who did he say?
Mark Ingram.
Mark Ingram.
Oh, Mark Ingram.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, he's the name on the list that I like the most. I mean, I like Tevin Coleman too, but I don't. Realistically, I'm with Ryan. I don't see him leaving New Orleans unless you have to overpay him,
Which we can't.
and we can't.
Right.
No,
Can't overpay.
that's why I like the whole.
Why would he come here?
The Antonio Brown.
Yeah, they don't like us.
He don't like us.
Yeah,
Why would he come here?
They're obsessed with us. Why would they come here? We stole their ski mask.
The Antonio Brown conversation. That's not going to happen.
No, that's not going to happen.
Le'Veon Bell. That's not going to happen. Let's
Chrome, to your
wrap
point.
our head around the idea now that this isn't 2 years. 2 years ago. Our cap is the worst situation in the league.
Yeah.
Easily. And it's going to take a lot of work to get us where we need to be able to bring guys in. And it's not going to be to bring guys in like an Antonio Brown or to bring in a Le'Veon Bell because it's just not feasible to build it with all the holes and the issues and the gaps that we have, with all the potential holes that we may have. Specifically, to harp on it again because I'm really worried about it, the offensive line, you can't feasibly bring these guys in and be able to competently fill the other positions.
Yeah.
It's just not realistic.
No, I hear you. YouTube, we got a few comments. Jaleel Harris says Shady for a 4th. I'm guessing he wants us to trade for him. No, thank you. Harlem Cowboy says only player I want is Earl Thomas this season and C.J. Anderson for a backup. Rosca says, Jaleel Harris says, yeah, Harlem, but Dak can't throw. Harlem Cowboy says, still on that Dak can't throw. Okay, Jaleel. And then just keep going back and forth about Dak.
I'll give you guys another scenario that I would. This is outside of the box.
I'll say this. I saw a lot of posts from Cowboys fans reliving the days of Tony Romo after that playoff.
That's what they do. They'll do it every offseason.
I think it's realistic. I actually appreciate people who post that kind of stuff because they're not in the dream world.
Yeah.
Because I am friends. Believe it or not, I am friends with a lot of Cowboys fans. I don't know how the hell I do it, but I do.
I don't know.
And I'm not even exaggerating. I would say 90% of those fans will tell you, if you have a legitimate conversation with them, that Tony Romo is so underappreciated. And now you look at their situation now, and
they already peaked.
It's glaring how underappreciated that he was.
You have one friend where I'm pretty sure he's not in that committee.
Who's
Mr.
that?
Murdoch.
Oh no, he was posting all about it. Yeah,
Really?
No, he is. Yeah.
He last year he went on and on about how
Well.
Dak is better than Wentz.
Well, that's. I mean, he's gonna do that just to troll you. He's my favorite cowboy troll, but he knows it, and I tell him that all the time. But realistically, you have a conversation with him, he'll tell you that Romo is a better quarterback than Dak was.
So
Absolutely.
would you guys agree that for the wide receivers, I mean, again, you have a lot of stuff, you have a lot of options, but the one thing that we needed all this season and we didn't have, and we had him, but he was hurt, but we need a deep threat going forward. We really don't have that.
Yeah.
You could say like, oh, Aguilar's that, but we know that. Sure, Aguilar can do that, but the Eagles don't believe he can at a sustainable rate, or he'd be doing it already.
Right. For some reason or another, they're not.
For some reason,
putting him there.
that's where my answer will be. Is I believe we do have one, but for some reason I don't know if it's confusion or like they're not sure.
It's
but
an identity crisis.
They don't know. They just aren't using him that way. If it were up to me, I'd march up to them and be like, use him as a deep threat. And I'm not the only one who thinks, like, there are multiple people, even like Seth Joyner tweets all the time that Nelson Aguilar is a deep threat. They need to use him more. But your point is correct. Like, for some reason, they don't view him as one.
Over on Facebook, well, first thing, Bill Middlebrook said, we've seen all year in the Saints game on the goal line this week, we need a big 3-yard back for those TDs and third and shorts.
Ajayi.
Yeah. Bill Middlebrook says Ingram's too much money.
Yep.
Blue would be cheap, but I would like Anderson.
Alfred Blue.
Our resident Patriots fan, Kevin Godwin,
Hey, Kevin.
being a douche now, says, check in, let's go, Evil Empire. Ring number 6 for the Patriots.
No, it's fine. You can
To which his brother-in-law, Mark Kelleher, says, Kevin, you're busy. Stay out of the chat. And Bill said, who goes, Tate, Nelson, or both?
Who goes? I'd say most likely Tate goes just because his contract situation. Chances are.
I think Golden Tate's back.
I didn't say like he's definitely not going to be back. I said who's more likely to go out of the two. I say it's more likely that Tate goes.
I think the Golden Tate is back, and I think one way or the other Nelson's gone.
I'm going to give you a scenario. What I would try and do, this is way outside of the box. Speaking of the Saints from earlier, I try and work out a trade to get Ted Ginn. Ted Ginn's stock is at an all-time low.
I got to tell you, though. Well,
They
no,
like
I mean,
him,
I watched
though.
his Miami years. Believe me, it was at an all-time low then.
Well, Yeah,
true.
They were
yeah.
not
True,
very good.
true.
They like him in New Orleans. They do.
But I would really like him here.
No, I hear you.
I mean,
Have you ever heard him talk?
I have not.
Have you ever
If he was
heard
in
him?
Philly, I
I
would.
don't think
Dude,
I
I
don't know if I ever.
You should look up one of his interviews. You talk about someone who's
It's
who's
like a
not
Kawhi
all
Leonard thing.
not all there. Someone who's not all.
no.
It's one of the funniest. Anyone listening, if you ever heard Ted Ginn talk in like an interview or something, let us know because he's not the brightest player there is.
So you're
Go
saying
ahead.
like I shouldn't want him because like his IQ is not that great?
I'm not saying he's not a good player.
Well, no,
He's a good deep threat.
Sounds
He's
like
a
the
good deep
IQ is
threat.
not there.
I'm just saying, like it's so funny when he talks because he's, yeah.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised for somebody got like a guy like that just because if I don't know that there's any glaring deep threats out there.
Well, there's
but if you're
one.
talking about what?
But he's going to be asking for a lot of money.
Oh, Deshaun. God
That's-
damn. No,
that's your
no,
answer.
thank you. No, thank you. Nothing.
I've
Not for
soft-
that money.
I've softened my stance on Deshaun. I would be open to bringing Deshaun back at this point.
For the issue was money. If you're telling me he's willing to come here,
I don't know that he's gonna demand an astronomical amount though. I think his market will dictate it, and he's probably not going to get as much as he might think he's going to get.
I'll take him for like $4 million at most.
You'll get him a little more than that, but
Maybe add another 4, and then another
No,
4.
I'm telling you what I'd be comfortable.
Oh no, I know, but I'm
Yeah.
saying for him, like take your
For
4
him,
mil,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then like add
Triple
another
it,
4,
and
and
then
then
add
add
another
another 4,
He's gonna want that.
and then
He's-
maybe another 2.
Yeah, what was it? The Buccaneers GM came out bright as day and said, "Deshaun, you came here for the money. That's why you're
Oh.
here." He said it like I think a few weeks ago. He was like, "Just a reminder, you came here for the money, so stop acting like so and so blah blah blah." But
See-
he's in it for the money. Why? If he wanted to play here, he would have signed here 2 years ago
Whoa, who
when
was
he
the
was a
quarterback
free
2 years
agent.
ago, though? Who was the quarterback 2 years ago?
Carson Wentz was. It was
But
Bradford.
was he Wentz yet?
No,
No.
It was Sam Bradford.
Yeah,
I know. No, it was Sam Bradford with Carson Wentz. Yeah.
There you go.
Well, I mean,
No, it looked like it was
I mean
going to be
that's.
Sam
I mean,
Bradford,
it's a good point.
though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
there
good
you
point.
go. I mean, Carson Wentz. I mean, he recruited Alshon Jeffrey. Alshon
Yeah.
Jeffrey. You know what I mean? Like
Good point.
he
good
took a
point,
pay
good
cut
point.
to come play with
True,
a
yeah.
second-year Wentz. I mean, that's the effect.
Andy
But-
Ritter.
You mean not a second-year Nick Foles?
You know, but we want to trade. We want to trade the guy that recruited the core that brought us to the Super Bowl. That's fine. Ship him out.
I had to throw that in.
No,
I'm sorry.
I was going there anyway,
I'm
so
sorry.
I appreciate it.
Andy Ritter says, "Oh my God, Chrome is back. I am back. I'm off my deathbed. I am back." Bill says Fitz is coming cheap. D-Jax, he doesn't think D-Jax will cost that much.
He's gonna cost.
It's wishful thinking.
I don't know.
If
guys.
you're going to get him,
I don't
you
know.
need, in my opinion, if you're going to get D-Jax,
6-7 mil,
nah,
may be able to pull him.
not 4. In my opinion, if you're going to get D-Jax, you would probably, money-wise, you would need Golden Tate and Aguilar not to be here. You would need to be running in with Alshon,
D-Jax,
D-Jax,
Matt Collins.
Matthews. I'd bring back Matthews as like a fourth
receiver.
played well.
Absolutely.
He played well.
Hey guys,
Are
by
you
the way,
kidding me?
yeah.
By the
Absolutely.
way, yeah.
Bring him back. I want him back as a fourth receiver.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I know on this show we did not have any issue with the Ryan Matthews.
The Jordan Howard.
Jordan Matthews.
Jordan
I can't
Howard.
get anybody's
Jordan
names
Matthews.
right. I can't get anyone's name
Thanks for
right
that
today.
memory. Ryan
Tevin
Matthews.
Campbell. No, but I listen. I don't think we really had an issue because we knew what he was going to be coming in to do, and I thought
Exactly.
not only did he do that, he filled that role exceedingly well this season.
Yes.
Amazingly
for what they
well.
needed him to be.
Amazingly well. Did he? Let's ask. Let's correct me if I'm wrong.
And
Look it up.
I'm bringing him back.
Did
absolutely.
did he
100%.
drop a pass?
He might have dropped
One.
One.
I think one.
Cowboys game.
Okay,
I don't
one
forget
pass.
the drops.
He dropped one pass. So all this talk about how Jordan Matthews is going to give
Yep.
the whole wide receiver core all this dropsy thing, and I know people are going to throw out, okay, well, Alshon dropped that last pass. Oh, get out of here. You know what I mean. Everyone was worried, like, oh, this epidemic of drops is coming because
Ralphie
Jordan
was saying
Matthews
it was
is
going
here.
to be a cancer, and it
Yeah,
was gonna,
Ralphie's
it
a
was gonna
crumb.
spread. Like everyone's going to start dropping the ball.
Where
which
is
I'm sure
Ralphie
right now?
now?
He's probably like, oh, Jordan Matthews made Alshon.
Yeah,
drop
exactly.
it.
Ralphie,
He was standing
where
next
is
to him on the
Ralphie the
sideline.
crumb? He's going to Jordan Matthews was absolutely fine as a fourth receiver.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
He scored one of the 2 touchdowns. He scored
Yeah.
the only receiving touchdown in that
Yeah,
game.
you did. On a deep ball.
He might have been the best receiver in
On
that
a
game.
deep ball.
Rob says, Rob Povey, he says, look at all these finely dressed gentlemen. Good show, fellas. Thanks, brother.
I'm in a hoodie.
Yeah, you look stupid, but I look nice.
I'm bummed out. I don't know what he's
yeah,
talking
but I
about.
look nice. You look stupid.
Well, you always look nice.
Thanks.
So I don't know.
Thanks. I'm like insulting you and you're complimenting me.
Should I
You
play
think I'd feel
I
like a
tell
jerk,
the truth,
but I don't.
okay?
You think I'd feel like a jerk, but I don't. I'm just like, thank you. I appreciate it.
You come straight from work. You don't change.
No.
The minute we both work at bank, so we both have to dress up.
Uh-huh.
He'll stay in his suit the whole day. Me, the minute I might not even leave work. Like once we close the doors, I'm out of my suit.
I
change.
actually did pack a change of clothes to wear, but I left them at home today. So I had to bring this fashionably.
It looks
nice
good. It looks
suit.
good.
Thank you. But no, I think now to that, if both guys got to go, then I don't think we're bringing Deshaun in because I am convinced that we are probably going to bring Golden Tate back.
I don't know. I disagree.
I'm going to say with a I don't want to say all right, convinced might be a little strong, but I'm going to say I have like a 65% confidence that we're bringing Golden Tate back.
He said 65, and you and
I
Tom got
don't know
laughing.
what's going on with these 65 percenters.
We were talking
what's up?
before the show, and we were talking
There you go.
about.
Did you check, by the
We
way?
were
I feel like
talking
you're hiding from it.
No.
I feel like you got real quiet after you checked.
No, I didn't check.
Well,
didn't check. Just
What,
check my
what
phone.
did I miss? What was
So
the 65?
we were talking about. Sorry, guys, for a tangent, real quick. We were talking about like the Spider-Man movie or trailer that came out. And,
sound like
and,
5-year-old.
I know.
Talking about Spider-Man before the show.
Hey, it looked dope. So we were unsure about something, and I said, "No, I'm pretty sure this and that." And I told Ryan, "I'll look it up," but I'm like 65% sure. And then Tom, he's like, "What is this 65%?"
And I'm like, Chuck, just say 50-50. Might as well say it's 50-50. Like 65, it's like, oh, well, are you really sure then?
Well, like 60-40's like, are you really sure? But once you get over 60%, it's starting to lean the other way.
Yeah, you're leaning a little bit. Like you're kind of leaning, but not like it's not like a full Michael Jackson lean like this. It's like a all right, I'm leaning on your shoulder kind of lean.
Yeah.
Listen, we'll agree to disagree on that one.
Rob said, but it's a sharp hoodie. He means you too.
Oh, thank you, Rob.
Bill said, and he said it's a great SmackDown. Thank you. I'll have to check that out when I get home.
Thank God.
Bill Middlebrook says, yes, buy Tate and Nelson. We got plenty of guys for the short passes. J. Matt Dallas, Ertz, Hollins. Spend the money on a true deep threat. And there's an argument. I mean, I've heard the argument made that the fit for Golden Tate, it's a little bit of a struggle because him and Ertz play in the same area of the field.
Mm-hmm. It's a 2 tight end set offense. You can't have another possession receiver out there. You can't, unless you're going to have them running screens and returning kicks, which they should, but they're not going to.
Right. So I get the argument, but I don't know. I mean, I feel like if they play him as a true slot receiver, there's a spot for him on the field that they can all coexist. Mm-hmm. But they don't do that. That's my issue, is they don't have a true slot receiver to, kind of man the middle of the field. So then again, you have guys running into the same part of the field, and obviously Zach Ertz is going to be the primary target. I have to say this about Carson. I love Carson. He is unquestionably the quarterback going, of the future for this team. He's got to find other guys on the field. It can't just be Zach Ertz over and over.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not
I do feel like when the pressure gets on, he starts to fall in love with the receiver. And I think he's young. He'll learn that.
But see, there
are moments.
You're right based off of this season, but I understand what you're saying, but I feel like we're all forgetting what happened last season. What were
we spread it around?
So he has.
He's capable of doing it.
He has that. I just think, listen, people can see it as excuses. The guy didn't have a training camp. He didn't have a preseason. He didn't have that period where he can start getting chemistry with his wide receivers. That's what it was. He wasn't confident in what he was doing. It was clear, and he was confident in one guy, and it kept working.
And there were games this year. I'm gonna point to the Panthers game where he locked in on Alshon.
Yeah,
and locked in on Alshon. The Tennessee game, he was locked in on Alshon. So I think it's definitely a concern. Like, you don't want him to fix so much on his first read, which is a lot of time Ertz, but he's capable of doing it.
Yeah.
So.
Bill says our tight ends, Hollins, J. Matt, Alshon, and D. Jax will be all set. If Tate stays, which I'm about 70%, he probably will. So we got off to 65%.
I like
70%.
I like 70. That's strong. That's strong.
He thinks Nelson gets traded. That's where I'm at. I think that Tate stays, Nelson gets traded. I'm okay with that.
I'm willing to put a wager on it.
What if you? I just literally thought of this top of my head. So it could be idiotic or it could be interesting. What if could it be an option if you throw, for example, Nelson and say like a 4th round pick and try and get Ted Ginn? Because you're giving.
No, I wouldn't do that.
I think about it.
No, I wouldn't do that. I don't
know about a 4th
if you're comparing.
round pick.
No, I'm just saying like a pick, a later.
Yeah. I would be open to that.
I just really value Ted Ginn. I think he would really work for this.
I think that
offense.
his skill set does fit this offense and exactly what you need, and you're not going to be paying as much as you would be to Deshaun Jackson.
And he's not a big part of the New Orleans. It's not like you were asking for their number one guy.
Right.
No, you're right, but I think I'm not valuing Ginn as much as you are.
So it's like a Kelvin Benjamin thing.
It's not that much. Not like he's a lot better than Kelvin Benjamin, but I think
so he's
giving up a 4th is pricey.
Okay.
That's what I'm point. Like, if you want to,
what are you talking about? Like 5th or 6th?
Yeah, I'm not. I just started at 4. I mean, you can go later than that.
If you want, if they want to ask for Aguilar and like a 6th, yeah, sure, why not? Yeah.
Because you're giving a guy. I mean, that's a younger guy.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah. All right, good first half of the show, fellas. Good job.
Yeah.
Proud of you.
We didn't talk about the Eagles-Saints game at all.
No. We did a little bit at the beginning.
A little bit.
Kind of, sort of.
Dabble.
But now, listen, first half of the show brought to you by Gibson Mayer LLC, our certified public accountants, making yours get off my cord. GibsonMayer.com. Also, Specialized Physical Therapy. Find them on the web, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. Find them in Princeton, Cherry Hill, and Burlington, New Jersey. Second half of the show, we'll continue to talk Birds, off-season predictions. We'll recap the divisional round, little no huddle. Maybe we'll get a little Eagles-Saints game in, or Saints game in. We'll see if we have time. I never know if we're going to have time. But now, if you're on YouTube, or I'm sorry, if you're on Facebook, Periscope, Instagram, Twitter, guys, join us on the YouTube. Link is at the top of the page. Please join us. We're going to continue the conversation. We're looking forward to talking to you guys. Until then, we'll check you in a little bit. What's up, fam? Welcome back. Birds of a Feather live on A2BRadio.com from the Real Talk Studios. Chrome Chucks, Ryan Brodo on the ones and twos. Brought to you by Gibson Mayer LLC. Our certified public accountants make them yours. GibsonMayer.com. Also by Specialized Physical Therapy. You can find them in Burlington, Cherry Hill, Princeton, New Jersey. Also on the web, SpecializedPhysicalTherapy.com. Scanzano Sports Poll Question. We talked about it the first half. We continue to talk about it with the fam. Pretty simple. Is this season a success for the Philadelphia Eagles? I think we all kind of agreed that there was success this season. You know, coming off of a Super Bowl, you come back, you get into the playoffs, you win a first-round matchup in Chicago. Very impressive. And you took the number 1 seed in the NFC and really, for all intents and purposes, the favorites to win the Super Bowl to the wire. So nothing to hang our heads about. Great season overall, you know, by the end of it. Obviously, we've had our bumps and our rough roads getting here, but good season for the Birds this year. Over on the YouTube, I noticed that they're still going back and forth, Harlem Cowboy with everybody else. Harlem Cowboy put on there that he said now Philly's going to have to, talking about Carson Wentz, going to have to pay him $32 million with 0 playoff games and not 1 full season. To which I replied, he played all 16 games his first season, 13 last year. Know your numbers before you make an uninformed comment.
Yep, good job.
Because that's an uninformed comment. So let's not put stuff out there that's fake.
Fake news.
This ain't fake news over here, brother.
Got Sixers JT chiming in just now as well.
Yeah.
What's going on, sir?
What's up, Sixers JT?
Been a
This is
little bit.
JT.
He should be pretty
They're up
happy
by
right now.
39
Sixers
points.
are up by 39 points. With still a minute and a half to go. We might be on a bit of a delay, so could be 41 now. Yep.
41.
41. So, guys,
I think they'll win.
do we want to talk anything deeper about the game? I mean, we kind of touched on things.
I want to ask you, I have one question for
Sure.
you guys, and the people at home, okay? So, after Will Lutz missed that field goal,
Mm-hmm.
everyone knew they were going to go down and score, right? Like if
I
I don't like doing the what ifs, but like if Alshon makes that catch, like we're winning that game, right?
Sure.
Like we all know that.
I believe it, yeah.
Okay. All right. So I have not
Yeah.
talked to one person. I've probably talked to 50 people about this. Every single one believes, okay, if he makes that catch, they win. But that's not to say you could say like, oh, well, you're blaming Alshon. I'm not blaming Alshon for the game because there should have been a ton of plays
Yeah.
in the previous 3 quarters that should have been had on the offense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That just wasn't.
So, all right. Well,
You go first.
well
Go ahead,
let's
sorry.
ask this question because it's been a couple of different things that have put out there. What was the turning point of the game, or what was in your opinion, what was the point where you thought, all right, this is shifting now? Because I'm not blaming Alshon for the drop.
Interception.
I mean, he dropped the ball he should have caught. We all know that, but he's as sure-handed as you can possibly get. So the interception's been thrown out there.
The first interception.
100%.
Absolutely.
The
Yep.
fake punt.
No.
To me,
Interception.
the interception changed the entire tone of that game. You're in the Mercedes-Benz Dome, one of the loudest, if not the loudest environments to go into as an away team in any sport. That crowd is rowdy and going, and you immediately have them on their heels. You quiet that dome down. And really that interception by Foles, which was careless and completely unnecessary, that got the crowd back into it. It changed the energy of the Saints, who were reeling at that point. And you can kind of just feel, I don't like the way that this game is swaying out. And, I mean, obviously, listen, the fake punt, I think we talked about it. You know, you can't take a penalty when you're on their end of the field at the 35-yard line. Even so, Charles, I think you said it before we went on the air, you still got to go down and score.
Yeah, they would
It's-
still, even if they'd still have to go down and score.
Yeah, so.
You don't give an extra down to Drew Brees.
Right.
3rd and 11, they converted how many 3rd and longs in that game? Like, you don't give an extra down to Drew Brees to get out of there. So I don't understand all the people yelling and screaming, oh, why did you go to any coach, they would have done the same thing. They would have declined the penalty to make it 4th down.
I'd be lying if I didn't say even before, that play, that sneak on the punt, the fake punt. even then I said, oh, I might have considered taking that penalty just because. But in hindsight, when you kind of come off that emotional kind of adrenaline you got going there and you use common sense, absolutely, yeah. You can't fault Doug for taking that penalty. You should take that penalty. I'm sorry, declining that penalty. You should decline that penalty in that situation 100%.
And the reason why
10 out of 10 times, 100 out
Yes.
of 100 times you decline that penalty.
the reason why it's absolutely the interception, it's because, say, for example, and again, we're playing the what-if game, but that's what you have to do after you lose playoff games. If you go down the field and you score, forget touchdown, okay, which obviously we had the momentum on our side and we were going to probably go down and score a touchdown again, but say we get 3 points, okay? That's 17-0 in their own house in the first quarter. They have to drastically change their game plan because it's a 3-score game. It's a 3-possession game. It doesn't matter if it was a touchdown or field goal. What matters is if you scored, that changes their entire game plan. They can work with a 2-possession deficit because they're one of the fastest catch-up teams in the NFL. Basically, they lead the league in comebacks.
Yeah.
So even if you would have gone up 21-0, am I saying the game was over? No, of course not. You're in their house. They're going to figure it out. They're very good at adjustments, which historically all season we aren't. We are the exact opposite as we were last year. Last year, we were one of the best teams coming out of the half and adjusting. This year, we're on the opposite side of that. That's what happens. And unfortunately, that's exactly what happened in this game. This game showed to me it was every identity of what this team was. Everything. The hot starts, the slow starts coming out of the half. Zero situational football. You had some weak defense, and you had some piss-poor offense. That's just what it was the entire season built into 4 quarters.
Yeah.
And that's incredibly frustrating because we had them. We literally had them.
So William wants to know, what would you think if we cut Peters or he retires and all the others, would you package Nelson and a pick for Brown, pay the big contract? He
No.
says he sees it happening. I don't see that happening.
No,
There's
I
We
don't
don't
see
need
way,
Antonio Brown.
way too many holes to fill to corner that kind of money on Antonio Brown. You don't need him that desperately.
You don't.
You just don't. I mean, I know you can make the argument every team needs an Antonio Brown, but you don't need him that desperately in Philadelphia right now.
As we talked about in the first half.
If anything, Le'Veon would be more of a need than what
Yeah,
Antonio
I
Brown
would
would
take
be.
Le'Veon
And
before.
Le'Veon is definitely
We have too
off
many
the
wide
radar as
receivers
well.
that we don't know how to use. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
And it doesn't fit for this offense, which is run through the tight
And
ends.
news flash, guys. You guys were talking about getting a deep threat, right? Antonio Brown's not a deep threat.
No.
He's not a deep threat.
Nope.
Alexander Verrucci, he says the turning point was the fake punt. They ended up scoring and stopped us every time after that and gradually
No.
got better.
What
Will-
happened before? Why did they have the cojones to take that to do the fake punt?
Will,
It's because they intercepted the ball.
yeah, Will Middlebrook says no, it was the fourth and 2 throw. They don't make it. It's still 14-0 and would have deflated them.
Yeah, but that was a result. That was a result of the interception.
Right. So I think, yeah, it all kind of stems back to that. Sixers JT agrees that the Nick interception was a turning point. And he says also Tim Jernigan's taunting that gave the Saints a first down when I think they would have been 3rd and long.
Thank you.
That is a great point that has not been
That
talked
was
about.
That was one of them. That was a factor.
That was a major factor at
But
a
again,
really
that was
crucial
after
time.
the interception.
Right.
All of these are
but
factors. All of
it
these are
is, it is,
absolute
it
factors.
is.
That's like
It is, but I will
yeah.
say that if I'm going to put more attention onto something, and that's a great point, that hasn't gotten talked about enough, they still had a chance to get bailed out of that even after that interception.
with the
I'm
penalty.
not saying that was necessarily the turning point. To me, it was the interception totally swayed the game. But that was a huge, huge mistake.
Penalty, yes. Oh,
From
yeah.
a guy that you don't really expect to get that kind of a thing from
Uh,
at a pivotal point in the game where you had your chance to keep your foot on their throats and keep them down.
Honestly, here's another part, and this isn't. I wouldn't say this was the turning point because this came after their first touchdown. Obviously, it came after a lot of this stuff. And I know what people are going to say. Oh, it's not necessary. You can't blame just the defense, but the fact that at the end of the first half, we allowed the Saints right after we thought, oh, we have full control of the clock. We can take our time, go down the field, score 3 points, and we have full control. It would be 17-7. But instead, we go 3 and out. The Saints, start on their own 20-yard line, and they march down the field and get a field goal with no time left on the clock. You can't let that happen. You gifted them 3 points.
Exactly.
That was a gift. You turn it into, we control the clock, and we get the ball back in the second half. To, here's 3 points.
Here's 3 points.
We just let them get it.
And then what do we do at the beginning of the second half? 3 and out.
And
because zero adjustments all season.
I felt like Schwartz had a really good game plan going in, but I will say the prevent defense shit started happening again, and I wanted to bang my head against the wall.
Well, I think
it started creating confusion in the secondary too of who's assigned to what assignment.
Here's what I'll say to that. I actually put less blame on Schwartz. I get people are always going to look at the prevent defense. Let's look at that big 3rd and 16. If you want to say that Schwartz has to coach his players better in that situation, okay, I can understand. But when you're playing a soft spot zone like that, like they were, you're playing the sticks, but then you have Avonte Maddox, who I've been singing praises for, but you have Avonte Maddox and then you have Nigel Bradham, and Michael Thomas sits in the zone in between both of them for a good 2 seconds, and neither of those defenders crash down and connect with him. They're just sitting in their zone waiting for Michael Thomas to catch the pass. That's bad execution on the players. That's not having the awareness to say, Michael Thomas can catch this pass and run for the first down. No, you have to, as a defender, you have to have the smarts to be able to say, I'm in my soft zone, but he's wide open in between us, in the soft spot of our zone. I need to connect. I need to play more aggressively and not play as soft. Again, if you want to say Jim Schwartz should have told them, connect, like play more aggressive in your zone, then yeah, I'll say that's the fault. But I don't think the play calling was the issue so much. There was another 3rd and long conversion. I think it was later on in the game before they missed the field goal, I think, and it was the pass
3rd and 12.
over 3rd and 12.
Yep.
You know who was the defender in that in the cornerback in that thing on that play? Josh Hawkins. The 14 the first touchdown that the Saints had where they scored on the 4th and 2. You know who the cornerback was that got beat? Josh Hawkins.
He was their 10th cornerback of the
Exactly. So it's injuries. To me, it's injuries and it's lack of execution from the players more so than it is Schwartz. I think Schwartz overall had a fine game plan. Everyone wants to blame the prevent defense, but the prevent defense isn't what lost them the game. It was injuries and execution.
Chrome, and I would agree with you probably 99% of the time with the prevent. We've talked about it pretty much every week, which we can't stand it. Chucks isn't saying he likes it, but in the moment, you have to implement prevent defense when Fletcher Cox goes out. You have to, because you can't go on a press defense expecting your defensive line to get to the quarterback, because once if Fletcher's not on the field, you can't get to the quarterback. Mm-hmm. So if you're playing press and our guys aren't fast enough and their receivers are better than our secondary, it would be even more disastrous. It was almost with Rasul going out, with Maddox coming out for a couple plays, and Fletcher going down, his hands were tied. You know, and it sucks going up against Michael Thomas, which we all knew he was going to absolutely destroy us. So it was kind of he had to improv his way through it because he had no choice. And even when Fletcher came back, he was 50%. He was 65% at best.
Yes, and it was more so soft zones than it was prevent. And I think you've got to look at what the Saints were trying to do from the first snap. What did they do on the first play? They tested us deep.
Yep.
And what happened on the called back Kamara touchdown? That was a deep pass on the post to the post. Remember that? They tested us deep. As Schwartz, his mindset was, I can't let Ginn and those deep passes kill us. Well, and that was there were a bunch of short passes that they were able to maintain drives, but they were able to still stay in the game because they prevented those long passes. Those kill shots by Breeze, those will kill you. That's why the Saints offense lives off of those long balls, those deep shots that are backbreakers, those game changing big plays. And Short said we had to take that away.
Well,
and he was reliant on his front four to get pressure. Now, not having Cox in there, certain plays hurt. But what happened when Cox was in there? He absolutely lit up that offensive line. They could not block him. And Michael Bennett was playing well. Like the whole our defensive line played amazing, and they were the main reason why we were there. But the scheme supported that defensive line because it helped them not get beat by the deep ball.
By the way, I'm glad you brought up Michael Bennett. So there's a lot of people like really criticizing Michael Bennett a lot over the last couple weeks. We have to understand something. I'm no doctor, nor do I play one on television, but you have to remember something. Michael Bennett has been on the injury report every single day of the week. He's been questionable entering games, and he's been playing on it.
Yes.
Don't be surprised if you hear, he had minor foot surgery in the offseason. Because he's had it since he's been here. He's had the foot, and he's been playing on it. And he's been playing great, and he's probably playing at 50% at best. Like, he's playing hurt.
Yeah. I have to say, I agree with Harlem Cowboy here. He's rooting for the Chiefs.
Oh, 100%.
I'm with you. We can agree on that one, buddy.
Why is he just asking Harlem Cowboy? Why are you rooting for the Chiefs?
Well, first of all, everybody's rooting against the Pats. That's
Typically, Cowboys fans hate Patriots.
Okay.
Typically, every fan hates the
True.
Patriots.
True.
Let's be realistic.
Yeah.
But David Rosca says everybody better be rooting for his Rams. I'm not, buddy. I'm sorry. I'm rooting for his Saints.
Oh no.
I'm rooting for his Saints Chiefs.
I'm rooting for the Rams.
They're not likable. Why? I want to ask why.
I love Drew Brees. Love Drew Brees.
See, he's the only guy on that team I
absolutely love Drew Brees.
I think everyone else. I can't stand anybody else on that team. I can't stand the coach.
I'm trying to think of someone
Drew Brees
that I
that
like.
much.
I like Tengid.
I know you.
There's two.
Oh.
I think Drew Brees
Rams.
is one. Clearly, Drew Brees is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, and I would love to see him get multiple Super Bowls.
But see, I have to catch myself here. And Chucks, you might agree with me. Go ahead.
Well, and one thing I want to say too is, for all the praise that Brady gets at his age and having won a ring late, in his 40s, I want to see Brees be able to pull the same thing off. But if they're against the Chiefs, I'm rooting for the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Now, I just thought of something, and I honestly think, Chucks, you might agree with me on this one. I don't love the idea of the narrative of Jared Goff getting to a Super Bowl before Wentz. I know Wentz was hurt. I get it, but that's a thing.
No, I was thinking that too, but I'd rather have that than that smug Saints team win it.
It's so
After
funny. I never
beating
used to
us.
have a
But
problem
listen,
with the Saints.
Jared Goff was a number 1 overall pick, regardless of what you say. So I don't look at that as a knock it by any means. Listen,
It's just a narrative we're
that
going to have to
team,
deal with.
but that team and that organization went out and surrounded him with an
Yeah.
incredible amount of talent.
I really like Gurley. I really like Sean McVay. I've had no problem with Goff. Aaron Donald is a beast. I'd rather deal with those narratives of Goff. Goff got his ring before Wentz, or even though Wentz still has technically a ring. I'd rather deal with those narratives all off season than to deal with the Saints rubbing it in our faces that they won the Super Bowl.
Why did they become so obsessed with us? I don't understand.
I don't
We
know.
didn't play them last year.
We didn't
they
play them.
choked.
It started with Kamara's thing about
we would have beaten them.
we would have we would have kicked their asses if we had played them.
Which you didn't even
Which
this
you-
year, and we were there. They didn't even destroy us this year.
Well, you lost to Minnesota last year, and then we destroyed Minnesota last year. So
Yeah, I don't know where that came from.
when you start talking shit, take care of your work first before you start worrying about what happened and what didn't happen.
Like they're dancing in the locker room to dreams and nightmares. I'm like, what are you trying to be 2017
obsessed.
Eagles? Like, what are you trying
And
to
then
do?
and then they started donning the ski mask as if like they're saying like, oh, like we were stop being copycats. Like I think what they're talking about is because they started the whole when the defensive gets a turnover, the whole defensive unit rushes to the end zone and does that thing. All the teams started doing that after that. The Saints did originate that, but then why are they targeting the Eagles?
But see, the Saints didn't originate that.
Because we're the Super Bowl champions.
They didn't originate that, though.
They did.
No, Miami did.
You sure?
Miami college football, they originated
Oh, I thought you were
that.
talking about the Miami Dolphins.
No, they don't get defensive turnovers. No,
No, actually, they did.
the Miami Hurricanes, they originated that. They
Oh, that I know.
originated the chain and the prop. That's Miami. So the Saints are copying Miami.
Them running into the end zone after a
Yes,
turnover.
yes,
Oh,
the group celebration
I
with the
don't watch
prop.
Call of Duty.
No, neither do I. But you understand, like, if the Saints want to say they originated something, originate something.
Yeah.
They didn't originate that.
That only
It's
makes them look.
Miami.
No, and that makes me happier. That makes me that makes them look worse.
Yes, it's
Well,
like own it. It's like, oh, we got it was the NFL
I
version.
don't
But don't be
understand.
like, oh, we
I don't
originated it.
understand.
It's
Someone
a freaking prop.
someone DM Kamara or Ingram and ask them like, why are you guys so obsessed with the Eagles? So if they're gonna say, oh, because they're the defending champs, then I'll be like, okay, actually that's
fine.
fair.
Yeah, that's fair.
fine.
But
That's fair.
they were obsessed with us before we won the freaking thing last year.
I don't know why. I don't know.
Just so exciting.
I know.
So how do you guys feel about all the coaching staff being brought back?
Fine with it.
I'm not happy.
I'm not happy with
not
Mike
happy
Groh
with
coming back at all.
I'm
I'm fine with Schwartz coming back.
I'll
I
deal
think
with
that he
earned
earned
it.
it.
He earned it.
Yeah.
Not happy with Mike Groh coming back.
No.
I
still
will say
don't
this.
think he called a great game plan in pretty much any of those games,
I-
aside from the Rams game.
I'll say this. I think
And anybody could have did what they did to the Redskins.
I don't have a problem with it anymore because I think the research, them saving the season and the offense actually starting to click and having a better game plan in place. Now I know under Wentz is going to be different, and that's where the test is going to come. Is can Grow work with Peterson to have a better game plan for Wentz? What I will say is that last season they lost two key assistants in DiFilippo and Reich. Going into next season, I think it is a big asset to have the continuity of no one leaving. I think being able to say we had the same guys, we can still grow, we can now work on something in the off season, and it won't be too much of a change. I think that is definitely a plus that went behind their mindset of we're gonna bring everyone back. Would I have minded if they moved on from Grow? Absolutely not. But knowing how the season ended, I'm going to be fair and be like, okay, I don't hate the move of bringing Grow back because the continuity is there, and continuity is key.
Well, it looks like the Facebook fam agrees that they could do without Mike Groh. Sixers JT asked, do you see DiFilippo coming back as offensive coordinator? No, because they've already announced that the coaching staff's coming back. I
had a name
I don't
too.
see where Mike Groh and the offense lit anything on fire, though. Even under Nick Foles, minus the Rams game and minus, I don't really count Washington as like a benchmark because you were going against a team that limped into Week 17.
I understand.
So, I mean, did they really light the world on fire against the Bears? No.
No.
Did they light the world on fire against the Saints? No.
Can I be completely honest with you? And this is going to be, people are going to be upset with me when I say this, but it's true. Going back to that Rams game, sure, came out hot. I'm still not overly impressed with that game. And I know it's going to be,
offensively, no.
we disappeared in the fourth quarter.
Yes,
We
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
score a point. But you know why? Because the Rams took 3 quarters to make adjustments because they were they were starstruck.
You want an even bolder but real take? The only game that was offensively impressive was the Texans game.
That was a good game.
Yeah.
I'll give him that one.
That was the only one. You want to be real, but here's where I will differ from you guys. I don't put that on the coaches. I think the coaches put a great game plan together in each of the offensive game plan in each of those games. I think the lack of offensive firepower in terms of, we didn't light them up is because it's Nick Foles.
So
That's my take.
I disagree.
I think that the system, because it had to be molded for Nick Foles, it is a system of short passes with occasional deep shots that you capitalize on. That's what it is. So when you have these short passes, you're not going to be as dynamic as an offense under Wentz.
But
that's my point, is that they catered to Nick Foles, and they weren't going to have him do anything outside of short occasional deep
But in
shots.
my head, that's Nick Foles' strength. So they
Yeah.
did game plan to the strength of the quarterback.
Yep.
That's what we've seen Nick Foles do. That's why the whole RPO offense fits Nick Foles so much better than it fits Carson Wentz. That's his game. Wentz is more of a playmaker. Nick Foles is find the open guy and just keep the chains moving. So to me, that is good game planning with that. And I just don't. I don't know. I just.
Well, yeah,
I
that's
wasn't
good game planning.
but-
That's what I'm saying.
But there's a zero adjustments coming out of the half, which you never saw before.
And I don't really think that is that difficult of an offense to game plan for.
With all those weapons.
When you talked about a game, when you talk about a lineup that features a Carson Wentz and all the other weapons, he was completely vanilla. There was no creativity whatsoever.
Yeah.
Running the RPO, it doesn't take a ton of creativity. You just have to have the guys on the field who can do it. And Foles is strong enough of a quarterback that fits his strengths. I'm not impressed by Groh by any means. I don't think he did anything to show me that he was able to adjust and change up the game plan and be creative to get the offense moving. I mean, if anything, it's because Nick Foles fits pretty much all he can game plan for, which is why they were able to have a little smidgen of success down the stretch.
But here's the thing. They weren't – first of all, last year they were still running RPOs with Wentz, just not as much as people were thinking, not as much as people thought. The RPO didn't start with Foles. The RPO started earlier in the year with Wentz. It's just that Wentz wasn't running it to the frequency that Foles did when Foles had to come in. And they took the RPO concepts in the system last year and they expanded on it even more. That's what the Nick Foles version. That's what the Nick Foles offense of the Eagles was. Now under Wentz, we all said earlier this year, I am not defending Groh when Wentz was there. I was with you guys in terms of Wentz. This offense is so vanilla under Wentz. Where's the creativity? Where's the stuff that Reich was doing and DiFilippo was doing? Where's all of that? I agree. What I am saying is because the offense was successful under Foles is okay. Let's see what now they can. Now that they were smart enough, not because they came out. Doug Peterson said after the Cowboys game, Doug Peterson flat out said, we have to go back to basics. We have to make things simpler. And that's what they did under Foles. Because Groh was able to help Doug Peterson change that game plan under Foles, and they had the smarts to do that, I'm okay with them saying, okay, continuity going into next season, let's give Groh a chance to kind of grow, no pun intended, and see what he can do. Let's see what he can do. Is he smart enough to be able to make a better game plan and help Doug Peterson make a better game plan now for Wentz? If next year he doesn't do that, absolutely he's gone. But I think the success of the team late has earned him at least one more year. Is my point.
I feel like they made the adjustments last year when Nick Foles came in, and they just ran the same offense into this year. Instead of going back to what made Carson succeed last year.
It wasn't the same.
There's a lot of similarities to it.
The game plan under Wentz this year when he was there is not the same game plan that was Foles. I will fight you for that, over that. We will go back and we will watch game tape. I'll put up Game Pass right now. Wentz was running different route concepts and different plays than Foles was.
Yeah, but
it was completely different.
Okay, but you can dive into route concepts all you want. What Chrome and I are saying is that the offense in which Wentz returned to was way too simplified. That is not the Wentz offense from last year.
It was simplified, but not it. It was a vanilla offense, but not the same as the Foles offense, is what I'm saying.
But vanilla's vanilla.
Vanilla's vanilla.
I said, it wasn't trash, but it wasn't good.
But what did I just say 2 minutes ago? I said I'm not defending Groh about what he did under Wentz. That was inexcusable. What I'm saying is him and Peterson both adjusted and had the intelligence and the awareness to change the system under Foles and to make sure that they never derive from what that game plan was.
But
we've been giving credit to the coaches for coming up with better game plans for the past few weeks, making sure that Foles is in a system where he excels. Do we not give them any credit anymore? Do we take that away now?
Well,
we gave them credit for these past few weeks. Do they not get that anymore?
I gave more credit to the defensive adjustments than I did to the offense. So
when Tom was here,
let's be real though.
When Tom was here, me and him both credited the coaches.
There's no point that I was really up in arms praising the offensive adjustments. I thought it was a little bit better. Defense is a whole different ballgame. I have given a lot of credit to Jim Schwartz for the adjustments that they made. And again, even thinking back, when you think about guys like Malcolm Jenkins getting in his ear to talk to him, that I give a lot of credit to that stuff. But my thing is, as we had said, he came in and I'm not saying it was quite as vanilla last year coming into this year, but it was still very much more dumbed down for Carson's return. And I am going to stay critical on Groh that throughout all those games as the season went on, he didn't make the adjustments to add the creativity for Carson Wentz. And I think in a lot of ways it set Carson up to not have a successful season.
I don't disagree with that.
Well,
but that's the point I'm making.
Yes,
yeah, I don't disagree with that.
But so when we're talking about did he make some minor adjustments here and there for Foles? Yeah. But it's nothing that I'm looking at that lights the world on fire. When I look at what Jim Schwartz did with the personnel that he had to work with and how down on Schwartz we were because of how fucking stubborn he can be, that is so much more impressive to me. That's a guy who had something to coach for and made the adjustments and earned next year and earned his job back. I didn't see enough from Groh to where I feel confident going forward that he's going to have enough creativity or be able to adjust the offense enough to accentuate Carson Wentz's strengths. I hope I'm wrong. The leash is this short for me with Mike Groh next year. But in my opinion, especially with Carson being on his rookie contract, I don't want to waste any years of Carson Wentz now.
I completely understand
and that's where I'm at with Mike Groh. I feel like he's not a guy that has established himself as an offensive coordinator here enough to where it's like we owe him anything.
No, and here's the thing: we
Schwartz
have to remember
is different. He was the defensive
No,
coordinator
I
championship team.
I understand,
and that's my point.
I get what you're saying.
Here's my point, Chucks. To me, anything that Mike Groh did with Nick Foles is irrelevant to me because it's a different quarterback. So as much as we want to crown the guy saying, oh, my God, we have to remember what he did and he adjusted to Nick Foles, I'm sorry, but that means nothing to me because he's not the quarterback.
I get it. I'm not saying that his offense is going to work and he's shown that he can help Doug Peterson offer a good offense under Wentz. What I'm saying is that you can't undersell the continuity and the fact that he worked well with Doug Peterson during this last stretch.
But who was the quarterback?
I understand. No, just listen to me.
I'm listening.
Regardless of who the quarterback was, did he work well with Doug Peterson to help put a good game plan together these past few weeks? He did.
With Nick Foles.
Yes, under Nick Foles. Now, here's my argument is that, one, you cannot undersell continuity. Like, that is important. After we lost 2 assistants last season, they want continuity. And 2, if he worked well late with Doug Peterson, who's to say that over these past few weeks he hasn't been learning more? And now he's like, okay, this is where I messed up. I didn't do this for Doug, or I didn't do this for Doug. Now going to the next season, now that he has one more shot, that he has one more year at least, and Doug Pearson is willing to give him another chance, maybe that changes. I am not 100% saying that Groh is the guy and that things will be great under Groh. I am not saying that. I'm not saying. All I'm saying is I don't have an issue with it because I understand them wanting continuity. And the way the season ended, okay, the coordinators, both sides of the ball, the coaching was on point. So both coordinators, I get it. They earned another shot at least for Groh, at least one more year. If things are still bad under Wentz, if that play calling and game plan is still bad, 2 games in, I'll say week 2, if that offense looks as stale as it was this year, I will be the first to say Groh's got to go right now. I will say it. But all I'm saying is the continuity, you can't undersell it.
No, I'm not, and I'm not underselling that. I'm going to put it very simply for myself.
Ooh.
I look at Groh and I think of DiFilippo and how uncreative and how very vanilla we talked about
Minnesota.
That being.
Yes, absolutely, yes.
I don't have an ounce of confidence personally that this guy has any idea what to do with a talent like Carson Wentz. It's easy. He is a guy who I feel like he can game plan again around a guy like a Nick Foles or somebody who is a very good quarterback who, like I said, accelerates in that short passing game but can throw the deep ball. A very basic offense in a lot of ways. A special talent like a Carson Wentz or a Pat Mahomes, I don't think this guy would have a goddamn chance at putting these guys in a position to succeed. And because this is the quarterback of our future, I don't have an ounce of confidence in this guy, and I don't want to move forward on him. That's where I stand. I think if Nick Foles was a quarterback on this team next year, fine. I think Groh could absolutely put together a game plan to make him successful. I don't think he understands and knows how to game plan for the talent that Carson Wentz has and to accentuate his characteristics or his playmaking ability on the field.
That's totally understandable.
It's funny. It's funny you just said Patrick Mahomes, by the way, because the main reason why I'm so frustrated, it's because, and I don't know if I said it on this show a couple of weeks ago to a month ago, but there's a guy that I believe you could have hired day one to come in. Doug's very familiar with him. His name is Mike Kafka. He's the quarterback's coach for Patrick Mahomes.
I remember Mike Kafka.
You know what I mean? You bring that's right. He knows Philadelphia. You understand? So you bring him here. He's your new offensive coordinator. I thought that would have worked really well. You know what I mean? There's also a news story that just came out about Cam Newton. It's actually very interesting. If you want me to
Sure.
It's
yeah.
kinda, I don't want to call it breaking, but so Panthers owner David Tepper just said he acknowledged the fact that they are keeping all options on the table for Cam Newton in 2019, which could involve him sitting out the entire year.
Excuse me?
He quotes, "If you told me he took a year off and could recover and be fully recovered and everything else, and that's what it took, an extra year, why wouldn't you do that? Now, would we have to do other
He's getting
things,
older,
right?
for one thing.
We'd have to go out and get another quarterback. If you could find me some more cap space, I'd appreciate that."
Is he
So-
that banged up that they got to sit
Well,
him for a year?
it's apparently this shoulder situation could be a lot more drastic than what. I mean, this could be a disaster because
It's
Cam Newton's
happening.
not polished as it is. So if this guy has a bad shoulder and he needs to move,
It's happening.
Could that be another team on the list inquiring
oh
about
my God, Nick Foles.
Nick
Complete-
Foles?
Oh my God. No, you know
That
what, it'd
doesn't
probably
work.
be
That system, those are
it'd be
two.
Teddy. It's gonna be Teddy.
That's two totally different systems.
Teddy, right? Would it work for Teddy?
Yeah, probably Teddy Bridgewater would be a guy who could
It
step
would.
in
I mean,
there.
like
Oh my God.
Teddy's not like a super mobile quarterback, but I mean he's not Nick
More-
Foles.
yeah, I was gonna say he's
I mean
more
he can
mobile than
move
Foles.
still. He can move a bit.
RG3.
Yeah.
He's still under contract.
They
Trade
trade
for
him.
I'll trade
Tyrod.
The
Ty-
thing is with
Tyrod
Teddy-
Taylor.
See, Tyrod's the
Yeah,
other one.
the
He's a
thing
guy
is
who's
with-
probably who's definitely
Yeah,
available.
available.
he's-
The thing with Bridgewater is I believe they traded for him in preparation for him to be successor to Breeze. I believe that's part of it. I do believe that. You can disagree, and I could be wrong. I'll say I'm 50-50 on it.
Okay, you're not 65.
I'm not 65. But
That's
yeah,
going to
no,
be an
yeah,
interesting
it's
story
interesting.
to keep track of.
Dude,
Yeah,
like,
wow.
Cam
that's-
Newton
if that-
shut
if-
down for an entire
If
year.
he's shut down for an entire year, that is exactly
Whoa.
what we've all been saying.
You know
You
who-
cannot run like that and not have long-term
you know who
consequences.
you're wasting the career of one person. You know who that is?
Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah. You're wasting the career of him.
Mm-hmm. Jeez.
Wow.
Dear Lord, that's crazy. That is nuts.
Because it's not like you can go out and get Joe Flacco because that's too much money. Ryan Tannehill has injury issues. Fitzpatrick, that's funny. Like it would either be Tyrod or Teddy for me, even if it was half the season. Because I mean, over the last 3 weeks when they shut down Newton, their next two backup quarterbacks got hurt.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
What are they gonna
Carolina,
do?
the team I thought was actually going to be on top of that division for the next handful of years, could be in big trouble.
well, I don't know. I've always said
Unless they draft again.
you run like Cam Newton does. That's an issue long term. You cannot. I don't care how big you are. I don't care how strong you are. You run that physical, you are going to get banged up. Look at all the running backs in the history of the league. You cannot tell me that even the biggest and most athletic and strongest running back didn't get banged up, taking all that punishment. Cam Newton runs like a running back. It's only common sense that he's going to start to. It's going to have wear and tear on his body sooner than any other quarterback.
I want to ask you guys this question. So, Sean Taylor, what you got, Chrome?
Some Phillies stuff that was put out there late this afternoon that I'm just saying now.
Oh, is it begin with
Expected for
a certain guy with the initials MT?
what?
MT.
MT.
Mike Trout.
No.
Oh no.
Okay.
No. What do you got?
BH.
Well, for one
Oh.
thing, the Phillies are expected to put the offer in for Harper very soon.
Yeah, I think the news is going to break tomorrow night.
The if not even, or if it hasn't swayed in his favor now, Machado was obviously the preferred name originally. Now it looks like it's the other way around. But now they're saying, I don't know, maybe I missed this earlier, maybe you guys knew this. They may now, just because they're not looking to sign both of them, they may be looking to sign 2 out of these 3 guys along with Harper.
Can I guess?
Go ahead.
Kimbrel?
Would be one.
Moustakis?
No.
Keuchel?
Keuchel would be one.
See, those are my big 3. Who's the other guy?
A.J. Pollock.
No, get the hell out of here.
When he's
No.
healthy, he's a stud.
Yeah, but when is he healthy?
Right.
Sam Bradford. Here we go. I mean, that's Sam Bradford. He's the Sam Bradford of the MLB.
But-
I just labeled him.
But, I mean, it's very interesting in here because you talk about Gene Segura, Andrew McCutchen. You sign Harper or Machado.
Mm-hmm.
Then you go out and you either get a Pollock or a Moustakis, and you go out and get a Keuchel or a Kimbrel, or you
Or
just
both.
go out and get Keuchel and Kimbrel and not, Pollock or Moustakis.
See, my question is, do you have room for all three?
The way this is stated here, which is very true, that might be one of the biggest offseason overhauls of a team in years.
Well, my question is, I have to look at the money, the salary cap. I'm wondering if you could possibly get.
Well, there's no cap, so.
Well, but you understand, not the cap, but the money. We're talking NFL. I'm so worried about the freaking cap right now. I'm wondering if they have enough so they can go out and get Moustakis, Keuchel, and Kimbrel.
Well, it says they would take a shot at trying to sign all 3 of them, along with a Harper or Machado.
Please, God, please. I mean, if that's the case, then good. Then here we come. I mean, there we go.
Well, listen, if we get
2 out of those, including Harper.
Machado, you're not signing Moustakis.
But see, I've already moved on from Machado because I think he's a White Sox.
I personally, if I'm the Phillies, I know people I know he's probably a little bit of a better player, but I like Harper. I think the fucking guy plays hard. He's the type of guy that'll run through a wall. I know Tom disagrees because he thinks Papelbon doesn't think he plays that hard. But I've watched him over the last couple of years. I think there's a reason why he tends to sometimes get hurt. It's because he just he will play himself into the ground.
Well, see, that's what I worry about.
I think he's learned his lesson from those early years in Washington.
I hope you're right because that's why I have. I love Harper. I would take both of them. I would take either of them, obviously. But I worry about Harper long term because of what you just said, that he does go 100% to where, like, a lot of people, and I didn't love the comments from Manny when he said, like, oh, the hustle thing, because I always thought, like, that's not, long term, that's not the worst thing to hear because he's going to be healthy. He's not going to be putting 100% into everything. And
yeah, I don't like that, though.
Hip checking. No, the character thing is bad.
You don't need to say it.
I think Harper, Machado is one of those guys where he doesn't care.
And
because
that's
he's
a
that good.
But that's a problem, though.
Well, it's White Sox problem now. Reportedly.
We'll see.
Allegedly.
Yeah. Anyway.
Interesting, though.
I didn't mean to get sidetracked,
All
Chucks,
good, no,
but
all good. I know it's breaking news. That's fine.
I was going to try to, hold it for no huddle, but
all good, all good.
I was, reading the article as you were talking there. Anyway, yeah. Anything you want to cover in the divisional round before we move on? I'm disappointed with the Chargers.
That's horrible game plan. You want to talk? You want to talk about a team that did not game plan well and had bad coaching.
Worst game they played all season.
Worst game they played
By
all
far.
season on both sides of the ball. That was absolutely horrible.
Embarrassment.
Absolutely horrible.
I turned the TV off
And
in 15 minutes.
It's
The game
such a
was done.
shame,
It was a
too,
shame, yeah.
because, I really think this was the best team that's been put around Phillip Rivers since he's been in the league. And he's a guy who I really, really, really would love to see get a ring. I don't know if it's going to happen now.
No, I feel like the window is slowly starting to close now because of that division. The division's only getting better.
You guys want to know something, and I know that there are some baseball guys out there who are purists and against analytics. But you want to know an interesting fact? The only team in the league that does not use any sort of analytics is the Chargers.
Makes sense.
They're the only one. And when you have a game like that where you're not you're completely outmatched. Like I completely it looked like they were unprepared. Like they did not have any game prep whatsoever. I'm not a pure analytics guy, but analytics does have its place in sports.
Oh, absolutely.
Does have its place in sports, and when you're that unprepared, I think you not having any sort of analytics team in your franchise, in your organization, plays a factor.
Well, you know why?
Well, the Phillies were one of those teams not
for
that
the
long
longest
ago.
time. Yeah.
Until they got rid of Amaro.
It makes the most sense to me that the Chargers are one of those teams because, number one, and the reason, because you could say, they don't use analytics, so how are they good? It's because they have the best roster in football.
Because they have an
historically,
amazing roster, yeah.
they are a pure talent organization, not a pure analytical organization.
Yeah.
So they rely on more guys like Phillip Rivers, clearly one of the most talented quarterbacks. Obviously doesn't have the record or let's say the rings for it, but just based off of pure talent, he's up there in that category.
But Foles won a Super Bowl, so he's better than Rivers. Just making that clear.
Talent-wise?
Huh?
Talent-wise?
No, I'm just kidding. I was just trolling. I was just trolling.
Talent-wise?
Well, Foles is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. So.
Yeah, he has a Super Bowl ring. He's better than Dan Marino. Did you guys know that?
Trent Dilfer, too.
Trent
Dilfer,
Dilfer, too.
Dilfer's
Brad
great
Johnson.
quarterback.
Brad Johnson.
Apparently he's the next Tom Brady, according to Favre.
Yes. Anyway, continue.
But no, it makes sense that, a team like that, because they have obviously Melvin Gordon, they have a lot of big-name guys with, a lot of talent. But listen, man, like I said, that division's only going to get better. Broncos are going to be much better next year.
Yes.
The Chiefs they're the Chiefs. And Oakland, they could still be a disaster, but how long are they going to be a disaster?
They have the picks. They could restock very quickly.
Yep.
So, we'll it's a shame because I agree. Phillip Rivers has been good, way too good for way too long. Like, to be honest, it's a shame that Eli Manning is going to have more of a folklore than Phillip Rivers because Eli Manning in no way is a better quarterback than Phillip Rivers. No way is he a better quarterback.
It's true.
And I can say that with conviction. If you want to try to make a case that Eli Manning is better than Rivers in terms of just how they are as players, I'll smack you in the face.
You see the Sixers sign Corey Brewer?
Yeah, I like it.
10-day contract.
10-day contract.
I believe they can exercise that 3 times before officially signing.
Yeah, I like it too.
He's automatically he's one of the better players on the bench.
Yeah, I think that's a good move.
The other games, the Chiefs and Colts, it wasn't a blowout, but the Chiefs had control of that game the whole time.
Yeah.
That the Colts just Andrew Luck didn't have a good game. T.Y. Hilton was obviously hurt. He was limping a lot, and just the Chiefs had that game from the start. Like, it wasn't even in doubt. So, those 2 games are kind of disappointing from a fan standpoint to watch because it wasn't as entertaining as you'd think.
It was eye-opening. The Chiefs game was very eye-opening to me. Because obviously, on Wednesdays, we did our our pre-playoff Super Bowl predictions, and I went Saints-Chiefs. And a lot of people looked at me like, why are you picking the Chiefs? They have a horrible defense. And it was because going into every game for the most part that they're going to score up to 30 points, 35 points. That's a shoo-in. If they play defense anywhere close to the way they did in that game, they can't be stopped.
Here's the thing.
They cannot be stopped.
Here's what I'm going to say for the Chiefs. And people, statistically, if you go by yardage and points given up, they're not a good defense. But what do we say about the defenses, the truly elite defenses and the teams that are winning, what their defenses do? They make game-changing plays. They create turnovers and they get sacks. And situationally, they're great. You know what the Chiefs are great at? Third down.
Yep.
They get off the damn field, and they have players to rush a quarterback. Like, they're not a slouch on defense.
No.
They when you have Patrick Mahomes as quarterback, you don't need to be a stonewall defense like the 2000 Ravens or the Broncos of a few years ago. You just need to make certain plays during the game to get the ball back into your offensive hands.
Got to make critical plays. That's
yes, exactly.
Timely plays.
I'll ask you guys both. I want you guys to both chime in on this. So, and the people at home too. Who would you say the top 2? Which 2 teams had the best defenses in the league this year?
The Bears.
The Bears and the Ravens.
What happened to them?
They're out first round.
There you go. Shows what's more important, right?
Yeah.
There you go. Let me ask you another question. What was the final score of that Super Bowl last year?
41-33.
How'd the defenses do? They play well?
No.
Situationally, we got the fumble when it counted.
That's right. Situational. It's big plays, turnovers.
Yep.
Situational football.
So
That's
yeah,
what the
yep.
Chiefs have.
Critical plays. I mean, it's the old adage of defense wins championships is an old adage.
Defense
To
certainly
me,
helps, but it's not the
defense
entire
helps.
story.
To me, what it is in this league, in this NFL, it's you can win a number of ways. You can win like the Broncos did when they had Peyton Manning's last year, when they had an elite defense and they just needed an offense that didn't turn the ball over.
Mm-hmm.
You can win that way. You can win like the Eagles, great offense and just had a defense that created turnovers. You can win multiple ways. There's not one single way to win. Why do you think the Patriots have been able to keep this dynasty going for this long? Is because they're constantly changing and are constantly up. Like, their teams that they won with at the beginning of their dynasty, they're not the same teams that won the last time they won against the Falcons. It's not that makeup of a team is not the same. Before they lived on defense. Now they live on the offense and Brady controlling that clock and marching down the field. It's totally. And now this year, if they're going to make it to the Super Bowl and ultimately win it, you know what their team is? Their team is back to being a running ball control offense. They run the ball. Guys, you don't understand.
Well, they don't have a choice. They have no playmakers.
Yeah, they have no playmakers. But what did Bill Belichick do in the first round of the draft? He drafted Sony Michel. Sony Michel. Bill Belichick drafted a running back. So anyone who wants to say that drafting a running back in the first round is stupid, well, you go tell that to Bill Belichick because he's doing wonders with Sony Michel, isn't he? And the rest of that running game.
What do you have? 3 touchdowns the other day?
3 touchdowns. So it's remarkable. There are a number of ways to win. Ultimately, you just have to have a good overall team and good coaching. That's what it comes down to. And then Cowboys, Rams?
Good game, Cowboys.
Good game.
Well, here's the thing, okay? This Cowboys team this year, and I know it's going to sound crazy because of the first part of the season they were dead, but we saw their ceiling. This is a year, mind you, no major injuries. Ezekiel Elliott played great. You had Amari Cooper, came out of nowhere. And they couldn't win more than one playoff game.
Yeah.
So,
well, Allen Hurns got hurt too.
But
a
he wasn't,
fourth wide receiver.
Yeah, he wasn't really. They're going to extend Jason Garrett, and they're bringing back.
Good.
They're bringing back Scott Linehan for another year.
Thank you.
Guys,
I'll
it's
send
going.
you a gift in the mail. It's
oh
happening.
my gosh!
But I've heard that that's not a guarantee that Linehan's coming back though.
I heard otherwise, but I mean,
It was originally reported yes, but then I saw another thing that had a question mark. Is it a guarantee? I think it's still up in the air.
I'll tell you who's not going to be back. Sean Lee.
oh, with Van Der Esch?
He doesn't even play anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he barely plays.
Because who's on the opposite side? Jalen Smith?
Jalen Smith.
Sorry,
Coming
Sean.
back.
Hell,
Yeah,
he'll probably be
it's-
back on the freaking Eagle.
Oh, stop.
We need some life.
But it's crazy because the reason why I thought the Seahawks were going to beat the Cowboys, that formula was what beat the Cowboys against how the Rams were able to beat the Cowboys. They ran physically with a creative running offense. The Seahawks they became too predictable. But when you have a Rams offense that's absolutely creative and physical, like what did I say? Like weeks ago when the Eagles were playing the Cowboys for the second time, I said you're not going to be able to beat that defense straight up. You have to do a lot of misdirection and get them going east-west and confuse them. That's exactly what the Rams did. The Rams confused the heck out of that front seven, and they did not know what was coming. That's why they won the game. That's why C.J. Anderson and Todd Gurley had the game that they did, is because they confused that defense. They didn't know how to attack it. Like Leighton Vander Esch is a great athlete, but he's not a powerful linebacker that'll go up and get downhill and
he still has a
blocks.
ways to go. I mean, he's very good as a rookie, but people started talking about him in week 16 that he's like some sort of like all-star, right?
No, he's still got
very
his
good,
flaws.
but he has a ways to go.
Super athletic sideline to sideline. But my scouting report on him still stays the same as it was coming out of the draft. He is a great athlete, but you put a hat on him, you get physical with him, that is his downfall. He still does not know how to shed blocks and be physical. and just overpower guys yet. He has to learn that.
True. So,
No huddle?
well, there was one question in the chat I want to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Ask. So Will Middlebrook said, "Would you guys take Flash Gordon?"
No. No, he's done. It's over with.
It's a shame.
It's a shame. It's a shame. He's
Yeah.
got to get his life together. He's got to.
Yeah, I think he's done.
We had so Tom, if anyone didn't see it, it's on the YouTube page. I think you guys should go back and watch it. Lincoln Coleman called in on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tom was Tom was talking to him, and Tom talked to Lincoln about Josh Gordon, and Lincoln brought it up perfectly. He said there's a difference between guys that want to get help and guys that don't. He said that you have to find your identity with things about this, and Josh Gordon clearly doesn't have the right people around him. And he said you have to find humility before you find the truth in all of this. And he's nowhere close to finding humility, which is a shame because Lincoln said about 100 times, the guy's a monster. The guy's a monster.
Absolutely.
But there's a time where you're more of a threat to the team than your talent is to the opposing team.
The guy has all the potential to be one of the great wide receivers in the history of this league. I mean, it is there. It is clear cut. There's no doubts about it. But you talk about between the ears, man, it's not there.
It's not there.
The desire for it to be there is not there. And it sucks because
You can't change that.
I thought coming back this year, it looked like he might have finally had it put together, but it didn't take long for the wheels to fall off.
No, and like Bill puts like Y in like big capital letters, and he brought like Kareem Hunt up again, and like listen, it's not comparable. And here's the other thing: we're not questioning his talent.
By the way, we said no, we would not take Kareem Hunt.
That's the other thing. The if you're not eligible to be on the field, because clearly, I mean, Josh Gordon was put on the exempt list.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he gets suspended all the time. So it doesn't matter if you sign him. If he's not eligible to play,
He's not going to play.
that's above our hands. So
Yeah.
we know that going in. This is now year in and year out where either you're full-on suspended or you're put on the exempt list. There's a time where we have to say, listen, if he's not going to be on the field, we can't dive into this.
Yeah. This isn't even his third chance. How many chances has he gotten?
Like 5?
Like 5. Like it might be even more. This isn't something where it's just like, oh no, we'll give him one more chance. He's just one more. No, like this is it. This is it. If you can't make it work with the Patriots and Bill Belichick, and you're on a team that is very well could win the Super Bowl, and you still mess up, and it's still not enough of a priority for you to stay clean and whatnot. And let me clarify. It's very possible he has mental health issues.
Yeah,
that this is absolutely an issue that he has to get fixed. So if that's his number one priority is all this off the field stuff, then no, like he's not gonna come to the Eagles. Like I don't want him on here for the simple fact that football's not gonna be his priority. And that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. If football is not your priority if you're a player and it's not your priority, then leave the game. I am not going to judge. That's all you. When Ricky Williams left and retired because he wanted to do his own thing and smoke weed, that's his prerogative by all means. But like as a team, we're not going to go out and chase you and try to beg you to come and play for our team simply because you're an elite talent. The desire has to be there, and if you don't want to play, you don't want to play. That's as clear cut as you can make it.
Indeed.
Yep.
No
huddle.
No huddle. What do you guys got?
So I was gonna do what you showed me. Was that gonna be one of your?
No, I was just showing.
Okay, yeah. We were talking about Antonio Brown and everything, and Jerry Rice came out. I think it was yesterday.
Yep.
And he had said he really wants to play here in San Francisco. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. Whether that's realistic for the Niners to be able to trade enough to get Antonio, I don't know. But I will say this. If he goes to the Niners, that would be so much fun. In that system, under Kyle Shanahan, with Jimmy G coming back, with the rest of that roster, you have George Kittle, you have God, what is the name of the the rookie wide receiver they had, Dante Pettis. Sorry, it took a while. Dante Pettis, Marquise Goodwin. I mean, I don't know what they would have to trade for him. Maybe they give up some of that, but that is a up and coming young team who has a lot of talent. You put Antonio Brown on that offense, that is a very fun offense. So I would love to see that, because you guys know I love the Niners too, and I'm a big fan of what they are. I would love to see them trade for Antonio Brown, because I think that's one of the places where Antonio Brown actually very well could end up and make sense for. Well, we'll see. We'll see what the Niners are able to conjure up. I don't even know if it's feasible to expect him to get traded there.
So I actually just pulled up odds, the current odds on where he'll end up in 2019. The 49ers are plus 200, so they're the favorites. Then you have the Jets. The Jets are always going to be up there just because they have so much roster turnover right now. The Raiders, I certainly hope he wouldn't go to the Raiders. The team that is very interesting, and you can be like, oh, this team flat out sucks. If I'm the Arizona Cardinals, I'm doing everything to go after him, because look at what you have to deal with anyway in that division. You need somebody like that who is transcendent on the outside, and also you need all the help you can get with Josh Rosen.
Yeah.
Then you have him returning to the Steelers is plus 900. Then the Dolphins, Cowboys, and Colts.
Gotcha.
So interestingly, for all of the Eagles, Antonio Brown fans, they're not even listed.
They shouldn't be.
No, they don't need them. They're one of the last teams that would need somebody like that.
They don't need them. They don't need them.
Yeah, no, I'm with that. I don't have any desire to bring him in, unfortunately. Not for what it's going to cost us and what we're going to have to sacrifice to do it. I kind of jumped the shark on mine. I was going to talk Harper and Machado, but I'll just say this. I think the time has finally come, guys, that we have to trade Wayne Simmons. The market is picking up for Wayne Simmons. Market is picking up on him.
Absolutely.
I think that, for everything that he's been here and the way that he's played for this organization, he deserves a chance to go somewhere and have a shot at winning a ring. And I think that, he's probably our biggest trade asset at this point. So,
trade him.
Trade him.
Trade Jakey.
I think that could happen probably before we're on the air next week. So,
I was saying for him to be traded last year, and it's nothing. I love Wayne Simmons, but I'm still sticking to my thing that this core of Giroux, Voracek, and Simmons, they're not going to win anything. You need to start trading.
Well, I think
Giroux
it's good.
You can keep. But
I think it's good that they held on to Simmons, though, because I think that his stock
value
has gone up.
Yeah. I'm not saying that it should have been done last year. I've just had this sentiment of they're expendable now.
Right, and clearly we're starting to make some moves now at this point. So anyway, just brought it up because I think it's time to do it, and I feel like it might be done before we get on the air next week. So
yeah,
I'm a big Simmons guy. I always have been.
Love him.
Love
the way he plays.
He's a good dude, good character guy. I love the way that he plays. And anyway, so
yeah, he was part of that big.
Good luck to you, Wayne.
The trade,
because that's probably going to happen.
Yeah, he was part of the
they stink
Jeff
so
Carter
bad,
trade.
By the way, they are so bad.
I will say this though, Carter Hart has been playing well.
He has,
despite all the wins, losses, and whatever. Like
a lot of games they can't even put a goal
in front of him. He's played well.
Yeah.
So that's a good sign. That's like priority number one for him to look good.
Right.
And Nolan Patrick had a hat trick.
Yeah, my parents went to the game last night. My parents have season tickets. They have like a ticket package. Oh, it's like 10 or 15 games. They've lost just about every game they've gone to, except for they did go to the game last night, which was nice because they got to see like a good win.
Yeah.
But
few
anyway,
and far between.
That's all I got because I jumped the shark on my other one.
No, that's fine. Middlebrook says, by the way, I said on Facebook, D-Jax and Bell equals second ring. No. We all said. Me and Roberto said.
You can get to a second ring without them.
You can get to a second ring.
There's other ways to do it.
Bell's going to I'm still sticking to what I said before. Bell's going to cost way too much money.
Still going to have an offensive line to put in front of him and Carson.
Yeah.
And right now.
What money you're going to.
Right now you look like you got one guy on the offensive line.
Bell
that's Lane Johnson, so.
Bell wants legit, like, he wants a lot of money. I'm going to say it again. Bill. He wants a shit ton of money. That's the whole reason why he sat out the whole year.
Tampa Bay.
We do not have the money to give him. We're going to extend Carson in 2 years. We do not have the money to give Le'Veon Bell. That is as clear cut as I can make it, and I'm pretty sure Howie sees that too and knows that. Unless Bell's going to be willing to take some kind of discount, which doesn't make sense because he sat out a whole year to get paid. That's the only way we
he's
get
not
Bell.
taking a discount.
He's not taking a discount.
See, for a while, I was saying Indy, but with the emergence of Marlon Mack, I mean, with Le'Veon, you completely then make Marlon Mack irrelevant. You might as well trade Marlon Mack because Le'Veon is when he's on the team, you only have one running back.
Yeah.
Kind of like Ezekiel Elliott. When you have Ezekiel Elliott, you have no other ones, except for like maybe 2 plays. So you're not going to turn Marlon Mack into that because he's far too valuable. Listen, to be completely honest with you, to take a whole other side of it, if Le'Veon went to Indy, Howie Roseman, if I'm him, I get on the phone to try and get Marlon Mack.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah. So in a way, I'm hoping Le'Veon goes to Indy.
Give me Nyheim Hines while you're at it. You got Le'Veon Bell. You don't need those 2.
2 for 1. That's fine.
Give me
We'll give you Nelson.
We'll
give you Nelson and a pick.
Oh yeah.
Like seriously, like if we want to do a deal, let's do a deal. Le'Veon, go to Indy.
Give me Mack and Hines, and we'll give you Nelson. We'll call it.
But I think Le'Veon would make a lot of sense on Tampa.
I can say, they don't have anything.
No, Peyton Barber.
Ronald Jones hasn't done anything in his rookie year. Talk about a. So I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and say there's no way, but I'm saying like so far, he hasn't shown anything. No. So what do you? Can't bank on him.
It's funny, like when we were talking about Bruce Arians last week. So Arians said a couple of days after the show last week that he doesn't rebuild, like he expects to win quickly. So what does that mean? He probably told the GM, "Okay, we're making moves."
Well, he's the oldest coach in the league.
Well, exactly. So it would make most sense.
I didn't even realize how old he is. He's 71?
Yeah.
He's
I mean,
old.
the guy retired.
Like,
you know what I mean?
No idea.
I forget who's
old.
older, him or Carroll.
He just comes off to me like maybe it's just like his whole mentality. He just seems like such a younger guy. He has like
cool,
a very
chill guy.
He's a very refreshing.
He's almost like even though I hate him because he's a Cub manager, but Joe Madden.
Yeah.
You know, he just has this kind of like young, down to earth kind of a personality that his players love. Maybe in the goatee.
Yeah.
But he's that kind of guy, and you don't realize how old he is. But what's yours, Ryan?
Mine was originally going to be Phillies related, but I'll change it. I'll give a shout out to somebody who was celebrating their 25th tonight. That's Mark Zumoff, obviously, the voice of the 76ers.
That's why they won.
Well, yeah. Mark Zumoff, I'm not going to compare him to a guy like Harry Kalas, but as far as in the NBA, I think he's up there. I mean, one of the most fun guys to listen to. I mean, we're so lucky in Philadelphia to have voices, Harry Kalas years ago, guys like Merrill Reese, Mark Zumoff.
Jim Jackson.
Yes, like we're very lucky. And you could say that with any city because obviously when you grow up, but honestly, I've listened to other. I was going to say, but I've gone to other cities and their commentaries. No disrespect, but some of them.
Well, listen, look at Phillies now. Their broadcast stinks.
Yeah,
it stinks with a capital.
Yeah,
it's
real
terrible.
Bad. It's really bad.
So I mean, no, and I have the MLB package, and I've had the football. I mean, the football's pretty basic, but I've had the basketball one. Believe me. There are a lot of really bad broadcasters out there. The city of Philadelphia has been very fortunate not just to have really great, talented people doing it, but guys who are mainstays.
Yeah.
Like a Jim Jackson, who's been with the Flyers since the 90s.
Yep.
Like Harry Kalas all those years. Like, Zumoff. I mean, when I became a Sixers fan in 97, and he was with Steve Mix. And you remember Steve Mix?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I like Steve Mix, but he was very kind of like we use the word vanilla a lot when you talk about his tone and excitement. He was very vanilla, and Mark Zumoff bought the best out of him to make him a very entertaining kind of guy. And he worked with guys like Malik Rose and other guys. Yep. Mark Zumoff is
I hate you.
You thought you had breaking news?
Can't stand Kyle.
Mark Zumoff is
funny.
Mark Zumoff is such an entertaining guy.
Damn it.
And again, I mean, when I think Sixers basketball, he's synonymous with everything that I think of when I think of them. So
absolutely,
congratulations to him, man.
Only
That's awesome.
he can make like those lines that he pulls off and make them sound like fun and exciting. Like if almost any other announcer tried to say the stuff that he says, I'd be like, "You're a dork."
Oh, he's amazing. I love him.
He does it so well.
So I'll read it just for context. So Kyle sent me a screenshot.
Oh God!
It says sources: Phillies Machado close to agreement on 8-year deal. I read it's Jeff Evans. It's the fake freaking account from the Wednesday show a couple weeks ago.
Oh God.
It's a fake account that like everyone thinks is real, but it's a fake account.
Oh God.
But I read
The one that Frank went.
yeah, that's freaking Jeff Evans. Yeah. So as you saw, I went crazy for a second. I'm like, oh wait.
That's amazing. Guys, good stuff this week.
Now I'm sad.
Great stuff.
Tough week, but now we're kicking in. You know, we still got a little football to talk about for
We
the next
do.
couple weeks.
We do.
We got the offseason kicking in now. We'll be able to start looking at that stuff. I don't know shit about the draft, though, buddy, so you're going to have to start looking into that for me.
Draft. We gotta work.
We'll be
I know
fine.
we're in the draft
Maybe we
now.
can get Paulie here for one show.
We're in the end game
We'll
now.
see. We'll
right,
see what
Chucks?
we can do.
Right, Chucks? We're in the end game
We're
now.
in the end game.
Fam, thanks for joining us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Periscope, Twitter. Wherever you joined us, we appreciate it every week. You guys keep us going. It's awesome. Ryan, the Fix tomorrow?
Absolutely.
Fix tomorrow, AM and the PM tomorrow. Thursday, Hockey Happy Hour. Lazy Booking is still off. Hockey Happy Hour coming at you. Friday, we got the Sports Guys, the Philly Sports Guys.
Love
Good
those
show.
guys.
They
Good
are
show.
awesome, man. I love them.
Good
They've been a
show.
great addition. We got the Hooligans on Saturday. Sunday, we got Agree to Disagree. Monday, we got the Sports Hounds. I forgot for a second. Damn. I was doing so good this time, Ryan. And then we'll be back with you guys next week to continue to talk Eagles, talk football, whatever else is relevant. Chucks, have a good week. Ryan, have a good week.
You too.
Thank you to our sponsors, Gibson Mayer LLC, our certified public accountants making yours, GibsonMayer.com, and Specialized Physical Therapy. Find them on the web, SpecializedPhysicalTherapy.com. Scanzano Sports, all you guys. Appreciate it. Have a great week. We'll talk to you soon.